Generally, you said feminism is neutral. Here's what actually happened.
The foundation of all knowledge.
I'm really mad that
what difference does it make, right? What
Stop.
the deregulation of the industry is obviously going to cause more of that industry.
And to lubricate the trust connection between people until they have enough.
Yet we could still look at biological reality in determining who's a female, even if there are.
Why don't you denounce feminism the same way you're denouncing capitalism? If you don't...
For something to be objective, it needs to be verifiable. And you can't verify...
If I make a claim as a political pundit, it is true that I definitely could be wrong. That you're promoting, right?
Ideology is the main tenet of politics, right? This is my ideology. So 2015, anyone go back and watch the footage? The first GOP debate.
Cool, Robert. Oh, they're dead? With a crowbar, you said?
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am so excited to bring to you two of our own regulars here at Mater Nation, Brick Petitions and Benjamin Balderson. Both are going to duke it out tonight. Welcome back. We're going into the claim of modern Western Odinism is cultural cosplay rather than the legitimate Norse religion. Clay, if you'd like to kick it off with your opening statement, please.
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. What's up, everybody? First, I'm going to just say a quick thank you to Sarah, the Raging Tomato, for having us tonight for this debate. The prompt tonight, modern Westernism, or modern Western Odinism, is cultural cosplay rather than the legitimate Norse religion. Before we get started, just wanted to say to you guys, if you're watching out there, the chat, whatever on your TV, hit that subscribe, like button, show support, throw some supers in the chat. You know, this stuff doesn't pay for itself. I'm going to give credit to Ben first as well. So Ben's very intelligent. He's exceptional. And I really mean that. He works really hard. He's got a massive depth of knowledge. And when it comes to this esoteric literature, we've both been here on the Tomato Universe space for quite a while now, and it's not like an internet fight. We're not being bitter towards each other tonight. Me and Ben get along really well. We do shows together, a lot of mutual respect. But tonight we're going to discuss something very interesting, and I'm going to stand firm in my prompt. And we could argue all night about complicated things. We could get into alchemy and chemistry for like 2 or more even hours. Just go on about that. Would we completely lose the audience in the weeds? I don't want to do that. I'm going to stick to this. So when you examine the Old Norse religion, there's a question here. Was it just a universal philosophy where you can read a book, do some private rituals, and then suddenly you're part of the tribe? Or was it a completely closed, localized tribal contract based on your literal bloodline and your physical geography? Well, to the ancient Norsemen, religion and family biology were pretty much the same exact thing. Their gods weren't abstract cosmic energies floating around in the sky. They were literal physical ancestors. And I'm going to bring up some references here, some citation. I don't know how Ben feels about certain ones. Snorri Sturluson in History of the Kings of Norway, Hans Kringla. It says on Odin's death, well, where Snorri documents that Odin, Freya, and the gods were literal ancestry kings who ruled over and ruled the North Germanic tribes. They died and were buried in physical earth mounds where the living family line brought offerings directly to their grave sites. When they did a sacrifice, what they called the bloat, they weren't doing some solitary occult ritual to balance like an inner vibe. And it was out in the open. It was in the open air. They were feeding the spirits of their dead grandfathers that they were buried right in the dirt there under their feet. You can't really inherit someone's family tree through a library card. If I could, Sarah, I am going to share something.
Sure.
Let's see. Let me grab that real quick. Did I get it? Yeah. I got it down there. Okay. So these are Scandinavian mariners here. They built the largest authentic replica of a longship today. This is called the Draken, or Draken Harald Harfagre. If anyone on the planet has the right to look in the mirror and connect with the old gods, okay, and say, oh, I'm going to claim this heritage. This is my religion and a living practice for me. I would assume that it would definitely be these guys sailing this ship across the Atlantic and bleeding on the oars under the northern lights, right? That would be them. I would assume. I'm going to go ahead and stop that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to show you that because it would be them, if anybody, I would assume, at least. Of course, if you talk to them, they're going to tell you the flat truth. They don't claim that religion at all. They're modern, secular citizens doing experimental history. When they step off that boat, they pull out smartphones, swipe credit cards, and they follow modern laws. And why? Well, here's why. Because they're honest. They're honest enough to recognize that you can't resurrect a dead tribal social contract just by holding a historical object or mimicking a practice. And so I ask, if the actual people selling a literal longship on ancestral waters are still just modern folks practicing a historic hobby, how can an American practicing private rituals claim those rituals might be a legitimate tribal inheritance? Now, I know Ben does hard physical work out there in the mountain, high in the California redwoods, and I have no doubt he's out there doing his rituals. And in his mind, he probably thinks it's going to make his farm and his family line succeed. But does living near some trees or knowing facts about culture make you a member of an historic tribe? And I know he tries to look at this stuff through an alchemical lens as well, like it's a chemistry formula. But did the Norse people care about universal formulas, or did they follow literal, non-negotiable commands and laws from the community and the spirits? Laws of early Iceland, Gregos. The manuscript text dictates that religious practice and district sacrifice were strict public law contracts run by community chieftains, Gothar. Violating these protocols legally stripped an individual of their tribal identity. It automatically declared them an outlaw, completely detached from the clan. Now, if the old customs demanded that you sacrifice a horse, well, you sacrifice the horse. What Ben tries to do is run a spiritual ancestral religion like a high school chemistry class, completely missing the actual living law and community of the land. Folks, library cards and alchemical beakers are great intellectual tools, but a library card isn't lineage. Without the law, without the land, without the ancestral community, modern Western Odinism is just simply cultural cosplay. And hopefully, we're going to get through all of those things of how these things connect step by step by step. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Clay. All right. And Mr. Balderson, to you, please.
Thank you, Sarah. And I'd like to thank Clay for challenging me to the debate. It's a good prompt. A lot of information to go through. I appreciate going through it. As Clay said, him and I actually have a show together on Wednesdays. So there's no enmity, but definitely it's time to throw down. I definitely appreciate the amount of study that Clay has put into his opening and his understandings, and I'm sure that's going to get deeper as the argument goes along. So Clay is taking, to some degree, the euhemerism stance, which is where they tried to turn Odin and the other gods into humans. While I don't disagree that there is a heritage there, if you're a son of Odin, but I would absolutely not agree that that they were humans. That is something from the 16th century. Actually, that was used by the Vasa dynasty in order to tie themselves to the Swedish throne. And they made Odin into a magician and more of a human figure, and then claimed bloodline ties in order to establish their royalty. Basically the Christian version of God ordained I'm king, we're from this line, things like that. That was in the 16th century. So when we start looking at the history of Odinism, one of the first things that we got to understand is this has to be actually broadened out. Odinism in and of itself was never practiced religion in any way, shape, or form. And in modern terminology, what would be called a Vikki was most likely the only person in any given tribe that practiced Odinism. Most people followed Thor or Tyr or Frey. Some of the women followed some Freya and some of the other goddesses, especially like the weavers for flax and things like that. But typically only the village sorcerer, rune master type person followed Odin in and of himself. Thor was most likely the most popular god as long as they were agrarians. I would like to so when we're talking about this, it's the entire pantheon. It's the what most people would call today the Norse, but it was originally Germanic, and everything north of Rome was Germania after the Gaelic wars and things like that. All the far northern tribes, this was all Germania. So first I'd like to address quickly Clay's I am aware of the shipbuilders. In this situation, Clay is confusing a Viking with a heathen. Actually, by the Viking era, it's mostly the kings that were sending out their armies. So this was actually mostly Christianized under the kings by that point in time. So by the early 900s, all of everything except for Iceland had been Christianized. So I understand where he's coming from with that, but understand that a lot of the country, this is part of heathen, was just a forest person that lived out in the forest. Most of Germany, even Germany proper of today, is all forested land. It's not really connected to the sea the way people think. That was specifically the Danes and the Norse and the Swedes. So this was definitely forest dwellers. Might add, I live in the forest. So Odinism in and of itself was never a mainstream religion. There was never any type of, and Clay did get that right. There was never any type of formalized religion around it. As I said, tribe to tribe and person to person inside the tribe, they picked their own gods that they aligned with and did their own ceremonies and their own worship. There was, of course, community worship, community things, but typically as it was just a bloat. The sacrifice, that's mostly Hollywood. There's almost no references to actual sacrificial ceremonies. If they happened, it's hard to say. The Christians that did the writing for most of the histories, such as Snorri Sturluson, while he was actual heathen and grew up a heathen, he was also a Christian monk. So the Christians didn't really particularly care for all the ceremonies and didn't try and pass that along, being afraid that the Northern European people would continue to carry that tradition. And I appreciate where he said it was tribal. I definitely appreciate that. What Clay, who lives in a fairly large metropolitan area, doesn't understand is where the original settlers came. We were very tribal. So in the Midwest, where I'm originally from, I live in California now. There's certainly no mountains in the South Dakota with the Black Hills. But the German people moved to South Dakota. The Swedish people moved more to Iowa. The Norwegian people moved to Iowa, and you can go to each area and you can tell which culture lives there. So these people moved as a tribe and kept their tribal cultures. So now the big question on this really is then, is it a unbroken chain or a broken chain, a line of succession? So is this, when somebody calls this neo Odinism or neo-paganism, what neo means is a resurrection of something that's been dead. And so that would mean that there's a break in the line, and usually a pretty damn substantial one, similar to the way that we have Neo-Hebrew, where Hebrew was a dead language for 1,000 years and had no vowels in the writings. And then some guy came along and decided he knows what vowels they are and filled that in. And so that becomes very questionable at that point. And I understand that. So by typical accountings, the Christianization, most scholars will put it right around 1000 AD. The problem with that is where they always want to look at it is in the royalty. Now you take Iceland, where it was the Kristnitaka, and in Iceland, what the deal was it became this Christianity became the state religion, because before Christianity, we didn't have state religions. Christianity is the one that wants to do that. And it was very private. It wasn't universalized. There is no real religion behind it. And so the Christians came in and said, well, you're now going to be a state religion, or else we're going to fight with you. And it was Norway, I believe. And Iceland decided, well, we will declare that we're a Christian nation, with the caveat that we can continue worshiping as we fucking please and do it to who we please. And so you people in the capital say you follow whatever, whoever, but we will do what we want. And that was the agreement. So when you start looking at the histories, you're going to see this, and Iceland was the bastion of, as the Christians came through and started their killing of anybody not Christian, it just started pushing further and further north until you saw most of the remnants get as far north as possible, with Iceland being the epicenter of that. Now, in the 1300s, in the late 1200s, we started seeing tales come out. Like Njál's saga was around 1020 and first written in 1250. Egil's saga, 850 to 1000. This is written down in 1250, and we understand that this was carried orally during that entire period in between. So these traditions were absolutely being followed, and these stories were being passed along. Then we have the Flatey Yarbuk from 1387 to 1394, which is the sagas of the Norse kings. The Hawksbrook, 1306 to 1330. The saga of Eric the Red, Hervarar saga. We even have algorithmus, which is the early scientific in math, which counters what Clay was saying. We kind of did that kind of thing. We're good at it.
We need to wrap up.
What's that?
We need to wrap up.
So we can go through over and over. And what Clay's not understanding is things like the Odinic Brotherhood, which was founded in 1421 to counter what they called the burning times, became secret societies because Christians were pretty good. And we can go through the Northern Crusades where just like against Islam, they went through and started killing as many pagans as they could in Northern Europe. How it became a very iffy thing to actually become or openly state that you're an Odinist or believe in the North Pantheon. Now, in today's world, you saw in the 1800s a giant leap, a resurgence in it, because they quit killing us. So all the people that had been hiding in secret, not all of them, but a lot, they decided that it was safe to come forward and not be killed. That's a pretty motivating factor. But we can go through where there has never been a time where there wasn't that worship being found and Christians not trying to drive it out. But with that, I look forward to the exchange, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Ben. All right. And of course, you already know where to find these two amazing people. Ben, I believe, is dual streaming. So if you'd like to go on over, hit the like, subscribe, share, send them all your money, and we'll have a grand old time. Now, of course, we're going to get through the debate. We will move to closing statements. We will read and respond to your kind super chats. And then, of course, we will open up the panel for open panel Q&A. All right, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
All right. So I'm the affirmative claim. I want to go ahead and jump in there if I could. So Ben, I want to try to get a little deep dive into the legal side of things. You know,
Can you quit rotating? Every time you rotate away, you get kind of weird. You're weird sounding.
Very good.
Thank you.
The legal side. I want to talk about how the old assemblies operated. Just wanted to circle back to something you mentioned the other night about the All-Father. Now, you said that the All-Father is the actual All-Father is not Odin. Well, I know we, end up on these panels a long time, and sometimes we say something, and I just want to give you the opportunity for
Odin is not the original All-Father. No.
Okay. And I know you mentioned that Snorri Sturluson, he was a Christian, and I'm assuming that you probably don't take a lot of what he said as, accurate then.
I take a chunk of it, although there's a lot of variance. More if you look at the more heavily Germanic, there is definitely some alterations. And then even again, when you look at like the Danes, like with Saxo Grammaticus took that more of that position where Odin was a human, but he was close to immortal and had magical abilities. So I'm not sure if that's a human or not, what you would even call that. But like there's an entire alternative story to Balder's death by the Danes, or no, is it the Swedes? Where Balder is actually doesn't win Nana and has a fight with another guy and trying to win Nana's hand, and then he gets stabbed with a mistletoe dagger, or a so is the traditional knife shape. But and as far as the Allfather, the original Allfather is Muspelheim and Niflheim put together, and then because this is the All Mother is Ginnungagap. And so the Allfather would be Muspelheim and Niflheim. And from that is born Adumbla, the great cow, and Ymir, the ice giant. And Adumbla licks at the rimy ice, and her teats drip milk. And from this spring all the kind of life that is filling the whatever space that the first age was in. It wasn't this space we're in, because Odin creates that space later.
All right, so I'm just curious because I know that Snorri says in chapter 3 of the Gylfaginning that Gylfaginning, he says there that he is called the All-Father. He is called our speech All-Father. He lives through all ages and governs all his realms and directs all things, great and small. That was a reference specifically to Odin. So is he wrong?
Correct. No, that is not wrong. So more specifically, Odin went through a set of trials, and those trials were in a mimic of what the All-Father itself was doing. So Odin went to Mimir's well and threw his eye down the well as the cost to gain knowledge. Then Odin went to get the mead of poetry, and he went on a thing to get the mead of poetry. Then he went finally to Yggdrasil, and he hung himself for 9 nights, pierced by his own spear, with no meat or food, and then ripped himself from the tree, reached down and took the runes from the earth, and became the Allfather. He didn't have all the abilities. Right, he became.
But he is the All-Father. He
is. It's more similar to the way you understand that, like a Buddha is not one individual.
Okay. Hindi actually. Hindi.
Right. It's not Hindi, but you understand that concept that Buddha then becomes more of a level of achievement. You've walked a path and become something. And the same with the All-Father. You've walked a path and become something. You're not like some singular deity. So the All-Father term is you went through this trial.
Okay, so then how does that work with the alchemical triangle, where Odin still ends up as one of the active corners of that framework? I mean, isn't that like how that you as an occultist see it? I know you mentioned that as well.
So Odin, when he went through his 3 trials, and specifically his last trial of hanging himself on Yggdrasil, Odin sacrifices himself to himself, and you can find that direct quote in the story. He specifically sacrifices himself to himself, which this is the great work in alchemically. You burn out the ego, the name of the plant, the Odin, and then this creates a separation, and then you force the things back together, it becomes something more. What you have sacrificed in this is the ego of the situation. So this is how come Odin is first and third. That ego got sacrificed so that way he could become something greater.
Okay. I just wanted to clarification because we were having that discussion the other night and you had said those couple of things. I just want to touch on those real quick. And then when we read the old stories and we examine Odin or the local spirits, the Lenvitir, would you say that we'd see them as living parts of a specific regional order rather than an invisible floating idea out there like in an empty vacuum? like they're part of the region, right?
100%. The translation is basically into land whites, and you're gonna have land whites anywhere that you go. So this is like your fairy creatures, your elves in some areas, and this is even in the northern European. It's very specific. Like I believe it's in Sweden that they supposedly have the elves, which is the elves, and then in different areas,
leprechaun, all that.
And so it all just depends on which area. The idea then though is that you're honoring the spirits of the land. So you're doing things like giving things to them. Even the original ideas of Christmas, because that was ported over to Christianity. The original ideas of Yule was with the Christmas tree, which most Christians know is absolutely not a Christian thing.
Right.
You were basically bringing the land whites into the celebration. So you're decorating the tree and you're leaving them actual. The food was not for Santa Claus. It was for the land whites, specifically things like cream and fresh bread. And then, they get to celebrate too. You're living with these things.
Right. So yeah, no, that's how Snorri put it. And then also he mentioned, and it details how those divine powers, they set physical borders and shape the Earth's features, specifically for living beings to inhabit. Does that sound accurate?
I would say Jormungandr was basically the bounds of the world at that time, for sure. And then from the story of Ragnarok, which there are some people similar to in Christianity who argue whether we're post or pre Ragnarok. Same thing with Revelation. I've certainly heard both sides argued that post or pre. If it's post, which is where I stand, Thor killed, even though he died in it, also killed Jormungandr, which would have been then that particular area would have expanded out after that because that bound has been broken and released.
Okay. So because those spiritual forces were tied to real physical territories and the survival of the household or clan, would you agree that interacting with them wasn't treated as casual, like a private solo hobby?
It wasn't casual, but it was absolutely private solo. Like I said, there was some group activities, which when they say a bloat is, it's very similar to a Christian church gathering. You go and only specifically, we have some different rituals. Like you do 3 rounds of mead and you do a specific call to the gods, and then call to your family, because always as you've pointed that out, and you're absolutely right that the family is extraordinarily important. That's our bloodlines, and it's honestly no different with the Hebrews. If you look at the pre-Christian Jewish setup, the Bible is very much about which bloodlines and who is what and whatnot.
Yep.
So this was important to them also.
Yeah,
but at the end of it, you're just feasting together. You're feasting together. You're having a good time. People got to remember that food storage was hard back then, so you would sacrifice an animal. Literally, you're just getting supper. Like people, when they go to McDonald's, don't imagine that an animal got sacrificed in their behalf. But at the end of the day, that's what would happen. They would kill it and then eat it.
Yeah. So then, blot Eloin.
What'd you just say?
Blot Eloin, secret sacrifice. How was that treated?
Secret sacrifice?
Yeah.
Like on a purse at a home?
No, secret. So in the legal aspect.
There like I said, there isn't really much. Were some areas that did do some sacrifice, but mostly there are stories that every 9 years there's the all thing, and that they would sacrifice, or 7 years and they would sacrifice 7 goats and 7 humans, but there's no real historical verification on that. There's one poem where a horse was sacrificed, but other than that, it's just not as heavily in there. Like I said, really more of the sacrifices. We're going to eat this cow.
Well, what about so how do you feel about what is it, Gregos? The laws of the early Iceland. Laws of early Iceland. Part 1.
Where they killed the slaves, the rebellious slaves.
So the citation is specifically handling public visibility requirements and the legal prohibition of performing clandestine or unauthorized rites, commonly referred in Old Norse legal history as Lord Eloin. It's the framework is that secret solitary worship violated the structural integrity of the medieval Icelandic Commonwealth and its community assembly model. So it's, if you're doing sacrifice, then you're doing it because it's not just like you personally, it's also for the community, and then of course for the land and then also for the gods. It's not a secret thing. Otherwise, it would be out. You would be actually considered outlawed. You would actually be outlawed at that point. You could actually be completely, essentially, the idea would be banished. I know that's taking a little liberty, but it's outlawed.
Yeah,
there's got to be like a legal boundary here, right? Like if you just go sacrificing any sheep or horse, then you're not doing it according to what the legal boundary is. I mean, there's got to, like, I know that, like, maybe some people don't believe in, like, a legal boundary. This is why I wanted specifically to get into this first, because, I mean, especially even within a household, you have to have rules. Otherwise, people can just run around and do whatever they want, right? Doesn't that make sense, or am I wrong?
I definitely wouldn't understand where anybody from just a farm perspective, anybody telling me I can or cannot kill one of my animals. Like I said,
not specifically your farm, but like you live in a community at that time. You have your private property where you set the boundaries along with all of the community. You work together as a community, but.
This is where I was talking about, where after the Christianization, basically the main cities had Christianized, although the Baltic area, they're like, fuck no. They refused. Like, we were deep into the 18th century before, and they were still fighting that. They're like, nah, screw you guys. But the main cities agreed to Christianize, and so there was different laws for the folk and for the cities. And you can especially see that one of the wonderful things is like Grimm's fairy tales, where Jacob Grimm went out and met all the folk people instead of talking to the assholes in the city. You can imagine that in 100 years, everybody knows what some jackass in New York or LA or Hollywood did, but does that represent the rest of us, the bulk of us?
I mean, I don't know Hollywood, but I do know what legal is. And if you do something that's considered unlawful, it doesn't matter what society you live in. There's got to be a social contract of some sort, even if it's divine right of kings. It's still
even now we're talking about just killing an animal, and if I took a cow into the city and killed it, they would freak the fuck out. If I walk outside with my 30-30 and drop one of the cows right now and hang it up and slaughter it, ain't nobody thinking twice about that.
That's perfect.
They'll be like, yeah, let's have a feast.
Right, that's perfect, Ben. Right, exactly. So if you took the cow into the city and did your quote unquote sacrifice, that would be a problem. So there's laws against that, right? There's a legality to it. So there's going to be legal
Christianized the city. That was part of the agreement of the Christianizing. Like I said, and that was literally the agreement was, all right, fine. Our political structure, our capital will be Christian. We ain't forcing that on the rest of the people.
So private
That was
property.
literally what they did.
So private property, though, right? So your private property, you could do what you want. But when you come into town and then you've got the the community assembly, right? There's going to be some type of legal framework for that, right? There's not. It's not just like everybody comes in.
In fact,
slaughters the animal on the floor and just leaves all the blood all over the place, and there's got to be some type of rules for that.
Oh, for sure. At the thing in itself. So it's the thing every year until the all thing. And that is all about these legalities. It's honestly about the only time that those legalities get really dealt with for the Germanic society is that during that once a year where all the free men will get together and then they will make a decision, and then all on different things. And if you don't want to be part of it, you don't have to do it. It was literally your first basic, what we would consider a republic.
Well, what if I wanted to sacrifice like your son? Could I do that?
No. Why would you?
No. Okay. So there's got to be a legality to this, right? So if I sacrifice your son, what happens?
Well, then we at the thing we would go to court if I didn't just kill you right out the gate, which was probably what would happen. And then I would go to the thing and they would go, "Why did you kill him?" "Oh, I killed my son." And they go, "Okay."
Right. So there's got to be a legality to this. So the reason I'm asking all of this, and I don't want to get hung up on this, when it comes to the hierarchy that's got to exist, otherwise you don't have a society, you don't have a communal anything, nothing, no thing, no team, right? You don't have any way to establish whether this person can come back into the team or not, or even live as a neighbor beside you. You can't trust the neighbor who steals from you. What if my sacrifice is that I steal from you, right? So all of these things
why would that be a sacrifice for you?
It's a sacrifice for you. I chose that. I chose the sacrifice was that I come steal from you.
No, you just can't steal. It's basic. And even when you look at Tacitus's Germania,
but why
we didn't have rules like that. We were a high trust society.
No, there ain't no such thing as a high trust society.
Oh, there was.
No such thing, my friend.
I'm not the historian. I can only tell you what the book says.
I love you, brother, but there ain't no high trust.
And that's the way they said it. In fact, they said that there was almost no infidelity in the society whatsoever. Everything basically was functioned off social shaming.
Well, and then, like you said,
if you didn't go for that, they kicked you out. They didn't.
Yeah, that there you go. That part right there. They kicked you out.
Oh, there's for sure. If you're a jackass, you're a jackass.
Yeah. So
you can't run around hurting other people.
A well-armed society is a polite society, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a rule for this, right? Rule. Like, this is my house.
No, it's Frank. It's just like Frank, or was it?
I just want to establish there's got to be some rules. Otherwise, we don't have a society. We don't have a community. We won't have a thing.
We didn't have that organized of a society. This is part of why the Christians were able to come in and take over. It wasn't in individual strength. We were much stronger than Rome or the Christians by all means. But you guys all came like fucking cockroaches.
You all?
The Christian, the entire Christian. You're not.
I love you, bro. I'm not the same.
You're not. But the Christians came like cockroaches.
Yeah.
And
my ancestors are from the same exact
tribes. A whole society against a tribe, the tribe falls. There's only a few examples where tribes got pissed off enough to band together. One of them being the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, where 3 Roman legions went into Teutoburg Forest with their camp followers, and nobody came home. But very seldomly did the tribes band together.
Okay, so here's my main question on this particular point. If the community depended on keeping the relationship with the land and the ancestral powers running smoothly, okay, how do you see those shared spiritual habits naturally turning into recognized binding customs for the whole group? right? Because now we're gonna have to obviously clarify that when it comes to the divine arrangements that the All Father assigns, like, I mean, there's got to be some type of boundary, right? Some type of law when it comes to the Landvitir, right? Or the land whites, as you call them. I know that that's how you pronounce that. There's got to be some type of social order, right? Like specifically for those spirits as well, right? Like you're working to create a safe environment, right? A safe environment for you and your family, and something that will last a long time, because you're gonna want to appease, at least to some extent, those land spirits. You want to make sure that they're happy as well, right? Would that make sense?
No,
Am I off?
you definitely need to not mistreat the land. That's without a doubt. But I think also you're not understanding that there's a lot of shift in movements throughout the years. So they talk about volcanoes blackening the sky and everything becoming too cold, so everybody moved south. And there was a southern migration. Things got warm, things got sunny and warm again. There was a northern migration because weirdly, us people with really tight pores and white skin don't do great in the sun. And so there was a northern migration. And so the land that you're on, you just want to take care of. And I understand where you're looking for hard laws, but like the Havamal, there's a section on basically host rights, which are how to be a host, and there's a section on how to be a guest and go out in the world and behave. And they aren't strict laws in the same way that the Christians have the 10 Commandments or something like that. They're like one of the funny ones is for as much as and I do agree, there's definitely LARPers, and especially in the United States, Odin cautions against drinking more than your share often, probably more than he cautions anything else. And he follows that with a tale of one time I drank too often and I got entrapped in this dwarf's lair and blah blah, and tells you this bad story about what happens when you don't do that. On the other, like a friend, if you have a good friend, do not let the weeds grow between your two houses, because where weeds grow, friendships die. And meaning that you need to visit back and forth often and share with each other often, or else you're not going to be friends anymore. So it's not so much hard rules as it is wisdoms that you really should follow if you want to have a decent beneficial life. And the first two sections are entirely about how to interact with other people, how to interact in their home, how to interact in your home. If somebody you take this to a harsh society that travel isn't so easy and you're on foot and you're in very harsh environments, if somebody shows up at your door, there's a good chance that they're not in great condition. I'm obligated to give them first place by the fire and some meat and some food until that person's, fit and firm again. And then if they're a douche, I can kick them the hell out. If not, we can develop a friendship. But perfect. So there's a lot of ways of interacting with people, but there's not like a set of rules like you want there to be. It was very much in different tribes and different homes. Odin specifically says if one of Odin's closest things to again, we don't really have commandments or anything, but he says you should own your own farm, even if it's just a hut with a couple goats, is because living under another man's roof is a slave.
Well, so was there a difference between the farmer and, say, somebody who would be considered like the chieftain, Godir? I think it's Godir, isn't it? Gothi? No, Gothi. And then as well as like a seer.
Yes.
Volvar.
Yeah. Well, the vulva's a girl, is going to be a girl.
Right.
So that's
so each person, like, so there's not like these great many different positions, but there are definitely different positions, and they would surely be held to some type of standard. Otherwise, they wouldn't would no longer be, at least part of the tribe itself, or
Yeah, they would quit having followers because all the people are free men. So it's actually a great honor to have a jarl, or in today's terms, a golti, in as your leader, where that person is doing intelligent things that are garnering good things for his people. Fuck yeah, I want to be on that team. You kidding me? And it is obviously not good to be on a team that the leader is doing poorly, and we're free men. We'll just leave.
So in that in that sense, would it be a very good communal standard to for a farmer to respect, say, like a boundary that another farmer living next door has, and the other farmers all around the community have?
100%.
You set your boundary. You set your boundary. Obviously, there might be some trade involved in that sort of thing, but when it comes to boundary itself, the boundary is the boundary. You don't cross that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. This is very much like Frank Frazetta said, that a barbarian will always be more polite than a civilized man, because the civilized man doesn't have to worry about getting his skull split.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say someone tried to ignore the traditional customs of the legal bounds, which you're kind of answering at the moment, when dealing with the spiritual life of the property. Would that risk cutting them off from the mutual trust of their neighbors, as well as the spirits, as well as the soil itself?
For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Okay. So now let's take a look at yourself. This is going to become personal. I know that, of course. It's the debate. If we look at you and your life right now, living and working out on your land in California, you are working with the local ecology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And you're operating through a personal framework rather than an ancestral northern community structure, or what you're saying is you are operating through the Norse or northern community structure, which would be Odinism.
Yes.
Okay.
And we run our things. I live out in a very very outlaw area, and we run our things the way we want, and we run it in that structure. All the landowners get their own vote, get their own voice. Sometimes one landowner doesn't want to be a part or something. Like one of the big ones that we have to deal with is roads, because these aren't county roads. We own these roads. They're all egress roads going through our properties. Now you have egress rights on your title, so you have rights to pass through on that road. So now there has to be road maintenance and things like that. And sometimes one person or two people might want to opt out of that, or disagree with what's being done. And absolutely, we have back and forth and all those kind of fun things. That's just interpersonal relationships.
Okay. So how do you kind of answered it, but that's kind of how you feel with the private spiritual work that you do as well, right? With the dirt that you actually work in, like the actual dirt. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. My relationship with Odin is my relationship with Odin. I don't even expect you to follow Odin. Even if you were an into the Norse pantheon, honestly, because I live out in a farm area and I'm a farmer, I would assume most people would follow Thor, who is mostly the god of the small people and the farmers, things like that.
Yeah. So if you accept the understanding of respecting the community back custom and those rules, if you will, the land, wouldn't that translate into how you would communicate with the spirits of the land? That would encompass perhaps specific communal customs like physical fence lines, traditional rules, and even down to the very way that you might talk to or invoke the spirit entities.
For sure, the spirits of the land are going to be different, and that's just going to be everywhere you go. Even if you were in Germany, or anywhere of the Northern European, you go over to somebody else's property. Land whites are as individualized as we are. So some of them are very helpful and kind of more benevolent, and they're just there to. And some of them they like to play games and fuck with you. Some it just all depends on who you're dealing with.
Right. So it'd be like the Galder is like the vocal speech, like so you're actually talking to them. So in that historical context, was spirit contact treated as an interactive relational conversation between members of the same extended ancestral ecosystem rather than just like a clinical process?
There was obviously the land whites were a separate thing, and then you definitely had your ancestry that you were dealing with, and then oftentimes, depending on which culture, like on the TV, they really like making it out like everybody put their people on ships and sent them out to sea and shot an arrow at it, and somehow that little bit of wood somehow completely burned your body into ash, and then that is absolutely not true. But that it wasn't even an availability for most people, just the ones that lived on the seashore. So the thing that was really important was your land, because that's where you were burying your ancestors most of the time, and you were doing it around specific trees.
That's right.
The trees were very specific on your land, and you would keep your ancestors, because then the bones of your ancestors, the energy of them would be there, and you would go worship around those trees.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. So the turning spirit communication into a technical solitary alchemical exercise where you like mix elements in the laboratory and treat spiritual forces like relative chemical reactions, that doesn't change the nature of the relationship.
So this is the difference between chemistry and alchemy, is that chemistry, you're just looking at basic chemical reactions, and you're looking at the way things combine, what the elements are. As an alchemist, there's a recognition of spirit in each thing.
So it's just not salt, not just like salt and sulfur and carbon. It's not.
It's very
like
specific.
You read out of a book or nothing. It's actually specific, traditional, vocal, relational. It's not something that you could just do in a private laboratory down in the basement. You're contacting the spirits of the old world. There's much more to it. There's the practices, the actual like living ritual of it as well.
I don't suspect most people get to talk to the gods at all. I mean, hey.
Well, we might talk to them. They just don't talk back sometimes.
Yeah, they don't say much back. Yeah. I don't suspect most people do, but I think that a lot of that's just even in the church, we didn't really have priests, but we had in today's terminology, a Vicky, which was basically the Gothi is basically the spiritual leader and kind of like a Jarl. But there's always that weird fucker, that actually is into the religious things and actually keeps to himself and does his own fucking thing. Like that guy's called the Vicky. And he at best is probably the only one that everybody pretty much thinks probably talks to the gods on occasion, and he's probably not quite right in the head.
Yeah, leave him alone. Well, that would bring us into like the strictness of what would be offered to the spirits as well, right? So when you speak to them, it also brings into the strictness of what they might actually want. So let's say you were told that you needed to sacrifice a horse, which we brought that up. You couldn't do like because you felt like, oh well, there's a the same similar spirit or alchemy, right? You feel like it. You couldn't just say, well, I'm going to sacrifice a turtle. If they said sacrifice a horse, you sacrifice the stinking horse, right?
Yeah, if that's what they want. Same thing would apply the land whites. If the land whites, if they don't like cream, which is one of the traditional something, you're going to give fairies and shit like that. If that one doesn't like cream, then giving it cream's probably not going to make you impress it very damn much. But Odin himself cautions against asking much from the gods. You can't get anything for free. Anything you ask, you're going to have to repay. And it literally says that. So you're not going to get anything that you aren't going to have to pay for. And then also don't give too much to the gods. Like it's basically like as if I invited you over for supper and you're an honored guest in my house. Hey, fucking Clay's in my house. That's fucking awesome. I'm of course going to bring out the fucking good fucking weed and the good fucking drink and the good fucking food and whatever else you might enjoy and try to make you as comfortable a guest as possible because I'm hosting you. And if I call to Odin, I wouldn't expect him to come and have any part of me if I don't offer him a little something also, fucking throwing a little out for the gods, chucking a fucking chunk of dabs into the fire. Odin likes getting stoned. Here you go, bro.
Yeah, you can't just make up your own rules on the fly, though. You actually need to make sure that it's what those persons or spirits in this case actually want. So let's talk about the physical realities of, say, the soil and the local environments where you might be performing those acts, because that's going to move us to the altar table itself, right? Or wherever that sacrifice must be done, the actual dirt and the ecosystem right beneath our feet, right? So, and I know that I'm saying altar with some trying to give myself a little bit of room here saying altar, but I think
I get what you're saying. Area where you're performing or having special rituals. I get it.
I appreciate that. I'm taking a little liberty here. The physical dirt and the native ecosystem beneath their feet, your feet, whether guardian spirits or traditional land contracts are bound to those specific native geographies. When you take into consideration the land vitir, the entities tied to those specific geographies, the topography. I think we can pretty much, at this point, I have a full understanding. Like you don't have to. I don't think I need to bring up any citation necessarily. But the Book of Settlements, History of Kings, both of these mention that sort of thing. In that
I
ancient,
don't disagree. When in Rome, do as the Romans.
Yeah.
Whatever area you're living in, you would try and fit into the customs of that area. I live on Murder Mountain, and I promise our fucking customs here are not like Bloxburg over there or anything like that. 100%.
Yeah. So we're talking about the distinct climate, flora, soil itself, the ecosystem. Would you say that animism and local land compacts are fundamentally hyperlocal, meaning they belong to the specific soil, chemistry, redwood, canopies, and watershed cycles of that exact ecosystem that you are standing in right now?
I would say that the land whites are, but that's the lowest level of entity that you're dealing with. That's not gods by any means. That's that's just the spirit of the land. And like I said, the migration is certainly not a new thing. You go to the new area and you live in that land the way that land demands of you. And if you've lived out on your own and in some land, the land definitely has demands. There's no two ways about it.
So you live in the North American redwood ecology, and that's completely different than like the Norwegian fjord. It's completely different ecology, completely different altogether. And there's going to be different land spirits, all that
for sure.
So how? This is really, I think, the big question here. how do you logically reconcile invoking 9th century North land spirits when your physical spade is turning California topsoil and interacting with a totally different hemisphere's biological community?
Yeah, I don't call the land whites of Northern Europe. I talk to the land whites of this land that I live in. I still have the relationship of the of my forefathers with the gods of Northern Europe, which is a different thing than the land whites. Land whites are not gods. This is just your neighbors that don't have the same physical body you do. That doesn't, but they aren't gods. You're not worshiping them. You're just kind of, I mean, shit, my neighbor over here, we bring her over every spring. We give her cuttings of whatever plants we got. She comes over and gives us plantings of plants she has. Is the same concept. You're just sharing the land with these people.
Yep. Well, I would hope so. That would be the living neighbors, but I want to get into the physical reality of the dirt down below, right? What's lying down deep in the dirt? The historical dead, the actual graves of those that rest in that local California soil. So, if you observe what lies down there, the bones of those specific resting spirits, I guess here's the question. I'm just going to come out with it. I think this is a good time to come out with it. When you look out at your own farm and the mountain you work on, out in the California redwoods every day, would you be able to tell me the names of the local native indigenous tribes whose ancestral graves and sovereign territory sit directly beneath your boots?
Yep.
What are they, if you don't mind?
The Weop tribe.
Weop tribe? Okay.
Yep.
So
they unfortunately got sued by the FDA for making fire cider. It's some horse shit.
Yeah.
Really pisses me off.
So would you recognize the Sinki one as the native tribe?
Would I recognize what as the native tribe?
Sinki one.
I'm still not getting that word.
Sinki one.
It's the name of a tribe.
Oh, I don't know who that tribe is. I'm not aware of them.
And Waliki?
Yeah, I don't know all that. There was Northern California was very much like the Germanic tribes, where there was a bunch of very tiny tribes all over the place. Literally, like it was like each town was its own tribe, basically, if you can imagine it. Every small town was its tribe, only instead it was tribes. And they all had their own name. This where I specifically live was the Weots, and then the mountain I live on was called Water Mountain.
Okay, so I know that this is through our government, and I know Sarah's not here at the moment. I'm gonna have her share something when she gets back.
I can share it for you, bro.
Oh, you can? Nice.
I do have the keys.
Yeah, that's right. Good stuff.
No, I am not Asatru Folk Assembly.
So yeah, there you go.
That was just for the chat. Sorry.
So like I said, I know that this is something that's been registered through the U.S. government. Obviously, you can put as much faith in that as you want. I'm just kind of being real here, right?
Some of the native stories up here, bro, so horrifying. Like there's one where they wiped out a whole tribe except for this little girl that was hid in the rocks.
Yeah.
And then that little girl got adopted, and she was the last remaining member of her tribe. Just like all kinds of shit like that. The government was ruthless up here.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Just the stories of hearing what hearing the American history is absolutely depressing sometimes. But we got to get into this. So this is the Intertribal Sinki One Wilderness Council. So they handle all of the things for that tribal area.
Yeah, Sikion.
I mean, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. I do apologize to any
problem. Not a problem.
Yeah. And then the Walaki, I'm probably butchering it.
Yeah, Wailaki. Isn't that the tribe where your parents live?
No, that's Chumash.
That's the Chumash.
Up here.
Wailaki. Where's the Wailaki? I know that tribe.
It might be over on the South Fork side.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
South
go ahead.
Fork side.
Sorry.
No. I want to make sure that we know what we're talking about because it's important to this discussion, to this debate. These are the tribal community members that put this out. They have a council. They have their members, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only one.
Basically, you want to know what Sabro?
What's that?
Is the ones up here that do have these things, they all have casinos. Like all the other tribes.
We got some casinos in Albuquerque too, brother.
Like otherwise, tribes don't have nothing like that. Like I said, the tribe here, they were selling fire cider, which was like an ancient recipe that their family made, that their tribe made, and then the FDA came and said, "No, you don't. Get a casino like a proper Indian."
But I definitely wanted to try to bring this up. I mean, people can go to this this website. It's Sinkion. You said I'll just say Sinky One. Literally, it's spelled like that. Sinkion.org. And you can find out some information on them. Do your research. Some of the stuff that they have isn't necessarily published. Obviously, just like with any .org, this would be a nonprofit. So just want to share that real quick. We can stop sharing just to share that. So I want to get back to it here. So would you happen to be able to explain specific traditional protocols, ecological gifts, permissions of those native lineages when it comes to the historical required order to appease or work with those exact Californian wilderness entities?
No, that's just a interpersonal thing. It's my land, and these whatever is hanging out on my land has its own needs, and it takes them. Like it's woofed. Yeah, I'm not gonna regale people with some of the stories, but like a dead animal does not last long on this farm. It will disappear. They take it like immediately.
Okay, so I did do some research on these guys. When it comes to these particular tribes who claim to have their dead buried there, they've got the fire ecology, which you mentioned, the vocal protocols.
Where are you thinking this is?
So that would be. See, I know I had it. It's Humboldt County is one of them, and then they have it also in I got Mendocino County.
Mendocino.
Yeah,
so that's probably the tribe, especially with his put together. That is probably Hoopa.
No,
Would you guys
no.
know?
It's southern Humboldt, and it would be bordering
Oh.
Mendocino.
Oh,
So
down
they're
there.
one of the tribes that has the casino.
Yeah,
down there.
yeah. Oh, I know who you're
Down
talking
by
about now.
Ukiah,
Yeah, that's down by Ukiah.
and
Yeah,
I'm not trying to dox you or nothing, but I mean you are
Dude,
shy
dude,
about where you live.
I have doxed myself 1,000 times. I literally live on Murder Mountain. There was a documentary about it and everything.
Well, when you said that, I kind of was like, wait a minute, hold on. That's kind of why part of the reason why I wanted to have this debate.
Yeah, and actually nobody was buried where I live. They don't they actually kind of stay away from the mountain here and always have, because I think because of the water, they call it water mountain, and the land shifts up here too much.
But could you so you don't know the particular like rituals or anything like that they would require of anybody living on the land that they claim is their ancestral spiritual land?
Yeah, no, neither does anybody here anymore. They're all got slaughtered. That's part of why this is the murder area. They came in and killed everybody. So it's just going to be through personal communication with the whites and the spirits. And again, if you live out in nature, you get a pretty good idea of what nature expects of you. It's pretty definitive.
So you can just kind of tell.
Yeah.
You don't need to know what the tribal rituals
Well,
are.
the tribe doesn't exist anymore, and there's no way to find that out unless I had like a seance or something.
I did just show it to you though, right?
This is a very orthodox area, and I'm not gonna this has been a polite conversation, so I'm not gonna go where I would go with the orthodox, but they're not known to be overly friendly folk. Yeah.
The Orthodox Church, like
yeah,
screw them.
This is a very orthodox area so
I'm sure they desecrate the land way more than anybody, but desecration is desecration.
Yeah, slaughter the indigenous people, like I said, sometimes to a person, and then and that's one of the stories from here where the whole tribe just got straight slaughtered. There's 3 Orthodox churches in Eureka, big fancy ones. Like there was a fight in California. Southern California was Spanish missionaries, and Northern California was Orthodox missionaries, Russian Orthodox specifically. So still, it's about 50-50. About 50% of the immigrants, illegal and non, I meet are white and Russian, and 50% are Mexican.
So I want to make sure that I point this out because it's very important. This specific legal and cultural policy within the documents
in Iceland, yeah.
No. In the Sinki one.
Oh, that one.
Their tribe.
That's not the tribe where I live, bro.
I mean, they claim
there's just in Humboldt. There's like 8 different tribes
within 15-mile radius.
Within a 15-mile radius of us. The place was dotted with little tribes. I don't know how else to explain it. We live along the Eel River, literally.
But you don't know the tribal. I mean, even if it wasn't,
they're the Wiat tribe, bro. I said that.
But you don't know their rituals.
No, nobody does.
You don't know where their dead is buried.
It's not here. No, I don't know if they know where they are. It's not here.
And that's a fair answer. I accept that answer that you don't know.
Yeah.
There's no such thing.
But understand.
Yeah, Christy originally, when we moved to the land, wanted to find out about native medicine plants and whatnot, and what kind of things to do around here, because we're a budding native area, so we like getting along with the locals. And there's just no such thing.
Well, when you say locals, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, there is no local.
You don't know, right? But there are dead buried beneath your feet.
No, there's no dead on Murder. There's no the only dead people on Murder Mountain are all people past. Our people, what's up, vibe? Our people past the natives when they took over the land. So the natives stayed away from this mountain, and honestly, it makes sense. Why would you bury your dead people in what they call Water Mountain, meaning the water leaks out and then goes to the other places? You wouldn't naturally want to bury a dead person in your drinking water source, right?
I mean, it's not just about that one particular space, right? It's about the whole entire claimed land of that particular tribe. I know that it might not be like right below your literal feet underneath your house, underneath your floorboards. I understand that part. but the entire ecology of the entire land, the entirety of that particular land has what you know to be land spirits, land land wights.
I don't disagree. I mean, I feel like we're getting a little circular with this. You know, like I said, the native tribe here was slaughtered. Nobody knows what remains, and we've tried to deal with the actual tribe and tried to get this information, and it's just not available. And they won't.
It is available.
No, the tribe that you're talking about, it's available. I keep telling you that.
Do you believe that tribe doesn't know what other tribes lived in the area?
The tribes were vastly different,
but they don't know how. They don't know how they interacted with the tribes around them.
What little information we've studied it. Like I said, Christy did that specifically when we first moved here, because she reached out and tried contacting, and we did that in the place that we were almost by. Also,
I would expect that from you guys. I'm happy you would. That's great. Here's the thing, though. You can find this information. So when they file their councils and stuff, this particular tribe, and they are claiming that it's not just Sinkion, it's also Walaki, right? So they're part of
Wailaki. Yeah, that's all south of me.
Right. So, but they're not just that tribe, right? It's not just Sinkion. It's at least both of them, and I would expect that those tribes know what the customs and the rituals, at least to some degree, of the tribes around them. Like if you look over at your neighbor and you see him dancing in the rain, you might later ask him why, right? I mean, at least to some degree. And I'm not accusing you. I'm just saying that there's got to be somebody who knows, right? If nobody knows, then okay, that's fine. But the effort to reach out, and I'm just pointing it out. But regardless of that, I'm not going to circle back to it. That's fine. I'm just pointing out that when it comes to the customs of your own personal belief system.
Yeah, my higher belief system's got nothing to do with the land whites. I deal with the whites the same.
How do you feel about Odin? And
like I said, I can also go to Rome and act as the Romans. Like that's any tribe. If I went down the 50 or 80 miles down there to the tribal area you're talking about, and I went into a town down there. What is that, Clear Lake and shit? Yeah, Ukiah, Clear Lake. Is that the one that's having the big problem with the lake down there with the mercury? I would expect to live like those people live and fit into their group. That's just, basic human activities. That doesn't mean that I have to have the same beliefs and higher gods that any of my neighbors have.
Do you think it's possible to essentially graft yourself into any ecology?
I think it's got its drawbacks doing that, but without a doubt you can 100% if you're willing to live like those people that are living around you, then most people will accept you eventually.
What if they don't want you?
Well, then they will probably drive me out.
What if they don't have the force necessary but they still don't want you?
Well, then that would really suck for them.
But you're still desecrating their land and
pissing off the
your land spirit.
I'm pissing off the land whites.
Oh, absolutely.
If I'm pissing off the land whites, I'm going to end up with things like no crops. No, my animals are going to die all the time. All those kind of things are going to happen. It's not people and land whites are not the same thing.
This may be true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a disrespect there, and that there's not this complete disconnect with the land spirits. And I'm just pointing that out.
If you have problems with your land spirits, you're not going to do well.
I mean, that's your belief.
That's every farmer's belief. And that's in that thing. Farmers are very into that kind of thing. Why? Because we live with the land. If I don't treat the land good, guess what? It don't feed me. It's pretty simple equation.
I mean, there's a lot of farmers out there who just do it for money. Look at Monsanto's.
Yep, and look at what's happening to the land. That land's dying, and now they're talking about putting bans on nitrogen because of what the nitrogen has done to the topsoil, and they've already done it in a bunch of countries specifically because of those shitty farming practices
This
they
is kind of
the land.
This is kind of the point, right? So you're now equating the nitrogen in the soil to the land spirits. It's not the land spirits, it's the nitrogen.
No, I'm not saying nitrogen is the spirit. I'm saying that they're having to put those harmful chemicals into the land in a purified form because there's no land, there's no biome. They've killed the biome and the actual living things in that land. And now because of that, they have to use pure liquid nitrogen, which is furthering the damage because the nitrogen's ripping all the carbon out of everything and just tearing everything up, which is further degrading the land. And because of that, their topsoil is eroding and they're not able to plant in those areas anymore.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if the land spirit wants you to sacrifice the horse, you sacrifice the horse. You don't exchange it for a turtle, right? So in other words, it's not the nitrogen, it's the necessity of whatever the hell the land spirit wants.
Yeah, and the land spirit didn't want you to kill all the
How do you know that?
Because look at the repercussions.
It doesn't mean that. Like, what if the land spirit wants the desecration of the land?
Do you think the land wants to be dead and dry and desolate?
Maybe there's some land spirits out here in the deserts in Albuquerque.
Man, them land spirits are crazy. We know what happened to the land
that may
spirits.
be. But see, here's the thing:
crazy.
you come out here into
gin and shit.
You come out here into the desert, and then you start trying to water it,
right? Stay out the desert
and all of that. But the truth is, Ben, here's the real truth of the matter: ecology and all that, and land spirits and all of that. When you look at the way the actual Earth is formed, okay, I believe it's formed, but that's neither here nor there. You can actually see the way that the Earth rotates, and the same thing that it does in the Middle East and on the west coast of Africa and on the west coast of the United States, it does on each one of those western coasts because it's a burning earth, right? This is just the way it works. Like, it's not land spirits, bro. It's literally you're just burning up the earth, right? In the same sense of each of those west coasts have deserts. There's a reason for that because the earth spins. That's why it's a desert. It's got nothing to do with the land spirits. Now, you can absolutely destroy the land, but to equate it to that, it's because the land spirits wanted it destroyed or to be green and lush. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's not chemistry.
Humans have created desertification like mad in the world, and it's a sad thing that that nobody really understands the actual soil biology that creates that. See, what you don't understand is when you till and when you cut up trees, that this creates desertification.
I don't
and
mind that.
This is a very and guess what you're doing when you tear through and till the soil? You're killing all the spirit of the land. You're killing all the living beings, the biome of that land. And then you're as you cut down the trees, the fungi that live symbiotically with the trees, which create in the root system an entire system that connects the entire land and creates the communication network of the entire land, all that gets cut and dies too. And every time we cut a road through a row of trees, that water table drops to the lower end. It doesn't go above that fucking road, and that just creates more and more desert. That's just us. That ain't the parallel. That ain't just the west coast. It's the west coast because people live on them motherfuckers, and they kill the land they live on. They don't live with it. They kill it.
I mean, I just kind of have to disagree with you, brother, man, because you look at Argentina.
Well, science is on my side, though.
America. No, science is actually not on your side on this one.
It is.
Southern South America. Why is it a desert?
Because people lived wrong. All these places
it has nothing to do with the fact that the wind is blowing and just burning.
The wind can blow if you have a sufficient root structure, and which starts with the trees. It holds that soil together. See, there's a soil scientist, and she died last year. R.I.P. Elaine Ingham. Lane Ingham was the top soil scientist, soil biologist in the world, and invented this soil biology called KISS. And she went right into the desert and turned that shit into a food forest in months. And it just keeps on going. And there's stories over and over of people replanting the desert to trees.
You can bring in ecology.
Guess what?
Sure.
Desert's gone.
Yeah, you can bring in ecology, but as soon as the humans are gone, guess what? It disappears. Because that's just the environment.
No, the humans were the ones that broke it. The same story happened.
I thought you said the human brought it in. I thought you said the
humans are now bringing it in and fixing it because there's people that are actually interested in repairing the.
So then, why was it desert whenever
most people, especially city people, they're just a blight on the land. They just destroy everything
before the cities.
That's city people. That's got nothing to do with Oceanism and Christianity or nothing. That's city people and country people.
Ben, before the cities were there were like native tribes roaming around the land. Okay. Okay. There were no cities. Okay. The land was still desert. In fact, it was an incredibly hot and barren desert. But when you bring in people, they build stuff, and then they bring in plants and stuff that's not destroying it. That's bringing in, like, I look at
like you take Southern California where it's a desert. People were never meant to live there. We got a bunch of jackasses who are kind of crazy. People who live in deserts, they're nutty like desert spirits. Notice I stay away from those ones because I can't deal with those land whites. And they take and steal all of our water to make their lawns green, but there ain't no that they didn't do anything to fix the deserts. They make their lawns green. Guess what they do to our water? Because they steal it all in order to make their lawns green. They're creating desert up here. And so that's all they're doing. That's all they're doing is just using it up because they don't actually do the things that create water tables like fucking like we all know you need to have to keep your water table up, like having trees. 80% of the trees in the world were decimated during the Industrial Revolution.
And so okay. I still need to ask this. So you're saying that there are no land whites in your area?
I mean, have you talked to the land whites that live around here? I don't know, bro. Have you talked to them? Have they told you I'm doing a shitty job?
It's your belief.
Have you come on out and talked to them and they told you that I'm doing a shitty job? And does that equate into me not actually following Odin or talking to Odin? I'm so confused with like
your belief, not mine. I'm asking you if you know who they are and what they require.
They don't. I do know what they require. Yes, that's why my farm thrives.
But then you said also that there aren't any in your area.
I said there's no native people. That doesn't mean I can't talk to the land whites. You have you're hung up on this thing where you think I need to sit down with smoke a peace pipe and fucking hang out in a teepee. I don't know what it is in your fucking head, but you can figure out. Guess what? At one point in time, there's areas that nobody lived, and you just go out there and then you hang out with that land and you figure it the fuck out. Because you're living with those things.
I don't believe that that's actually what the Norse people believe. I don't think they just thought that you could just go out there and figure it out.
You're making a giant ordeal out of the land whites, out of people that migrated fairly regularly.
But you also said that there's nobody buried that are ancient peoples there on that mountain.
No, not on this mountain.
So there's no land whites there.
No, there's land whites. Land whites are dead people, dude. That's different. A land white is not a person. They're like fucking fairies.
How do you know that?
Dwarves and
how do you know that?
Like that.
Those tribes, you know all about their ancient dead.
I don't know fuck all about those tribes.
Exactly.
They're dead. I've said this like 8 times. Why are we getting so fucking circular on this, dude?
I'm pointing it out that you.
No, you're not pointing shit out. You're just repeating the same shit over and over, and I'm giving you a straight answer, and you keep then just repeat the fucking statement again, and it's ridiculous, man. The natives are dead. Nobody's talking to them. I don't know. Maybe I should invite a fucking voodoo seance fucking lady here to fucking talk to the natives that used to not live right on my mountain, but in the general area. I don't fucking know what you want. I don't know what any of it has to do with Odinism.
So the lineage and biology of that specific area is very, very important to those people who are dead and buried in your area. And as well are very important to those who claim tribal community in that
You have
area.
stated that like 8 times. Can you state something new? Or make a question or something. I get it.
You could allow me to expound instead of just continually interrupting. As
I haven't continually interrupted. I've patiently answered your fucking questions, which you keep asking me the same questions like in 4 question sequences. And then you go back to the one you did 4 questions ago and boom, 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 boom. And I've patiently answered them and I've expanded on the answers. Just give me a new fucking question. That's all I'm asking.
I don't want you to get aggravated.
I'm not getting angry, but I feel like your fucking needle got stuck. Hit the fucking record player or something.
I mean, I can't stop you from not.
Odin's got nothing to do with the land whites here. That it's two separate things, dude. One thing's the spirits of the land. You work in the land that you live on. One thing is fucking the fucking higher gods. I don't even know why we're spending an hour on land whites.
Because you don't respect the dead.
I do definitely. That's why my farm does so very well. And I know your city ask and say whatever you want.
I'm not from the city, bro. I live here now, but I'm not from the city. You do understand that, right?
So do you know how to live on your land?
I'm from
Are you living on some great land communing with land whites?
Bro,
are you building your own fucking forest?
According to your belief, I am. According to your belief, I am, though.
No, right? You're not. No, you're not.
No, I'm not. So what I do on the land doesn't affect the land whites. But what you do on the land affects the land whites.
Burnt dead areas. It's like
this is the problem. You don't even know what you don't know what your ancestors believe.
Yeah,
this
I do.
Is the problem.
See, now we're back in actually into it. But how you made that leap,
and Dutch.
I don't know.
My ancestors are Dane and Dutch as well. Yeah.
So now are you going to try and actually back up what you just said? Because none of what you talked about for the last hour have fuck all to do what you just said.
Because it's a dead religion.
No,
nobody
it's
believes
not.
it anymore. It's just like when I brought up the Viking longship.
It was. Now we're actually getting back into the argument. So now let's get it. Now let's get it.
Believe that stuff.
Which century did Odinism not exist in? Which century?
Oh my goodness, bro.
Which one?
You tell me.
No, you are the positive. I'm definitely that Odinism existed in every century.
I mean, it's your question
for you to make your claim, so I can refute.
It's your question. I'll tell you. I don't know. How about that?
Then how are you claiming it's a broken lineage if you don't have a break?
So the way the lineage works is that you have to continually, specifically with Odinism, is you have to continually practice the religion throughout the entire family bloodline. There can't be any breaks.
No, who made this rule up? Clay making up rules now?
Who can you name your grandfathers? Can you name your grandfathers all the way back to Odin?
Can I name them off the top of my head?
No, you can't. Right?
No, I can't.
Can you tell me where all your dead are buried?
Most of them, yes.
All the way back to Odin?
No.
Of course not.
That's further than any records are
kept. And the original people who decided that or were Odinists, who actually believed in Odin, that was their literal ancestor. You cannot identify the grandfathers that came before you. They could.
Yeah, that's because those records don't exist. It's the people of those areas.
Right. It was passed down.
And yes, I can track my family back real shortly to those areas. And then we have
the kings of
family history.
The kings of England do the same thing. The kings of England would be able to claim lineage. The kings of Scott would be able to claim lineage. All those people.
Yeah, I know.
Are you going to call them Odinists too?
Has become retarded Christians, though.
Yeah.
They all Christians. None of them should be. That's a crazed desert
religion. I wouldn't call them Christian. But
that's a crazed desert religion. None of them following it. I fucking agree with that.
They could claim the religion too. Is what you're telling me?
Yeah, they should definitely be. They should definitely follow Odin.
So all of those people that are alive today that have the lineage could easily claim Odinism.
Oh, they should definitely get back in touch with Odin.
But
Yeah.
could they?
Sure.
Okay, so that's crazy talk, in my opinion. In my opinion, this is my
The hilarious part of this whole debate for me is that you're a sola scriptura, so you believe that you can just read the books and then all
I'm
your
not sola
spirituality
scriptura.
is derived
I'm not
from
sola
that.
scriptura. That's not how it
Yeah,
works.
you definitely
You don't even
believe
know what
the
sola
church
scriptura
says.
means.
You don't. I do it. It's Bible only.
So are you going to attack
That's
my
what
religion?
you
We're going to
do.
talk about
It's Bible
Christianity
only.
now.
So
We're
you
talk about
just
Christianity
read the
now.
book and
'Cause it's Odinism on
disregard
the table.
all the other.
We
Christian
can't hear
words.
either of you.
It's Odinism on the table, my friend, not Christianity. Tonight,
No, but
we're
it's
talking about
hilarious
Odinism.
that you would try and pin me to a standard you don't
Sir,
hold. That's the
sir,
problem.
Sir,
That's
this
the problem.
is about
You don't hold the
Odinism,
standard.
not
No,
Christianity.
you're making a rule for my thing, and then you don't even hold that rule. You've just decided that we have that.
Well, you
And can you cite that rule for me?
You chose your own
Can you-
branch
can
of
you cite it?
Odinism.
Can you
You
cite
chose
in
your
which
own.
of the books that it
That's
says
crazy.
this? Can you cite that,
chose it.
please?
You
Can you cite?
are
Can
the
you
one
cite it?
claiming it.
Can you back up a fucking
yourself
thing you're
that
saying?
All Father is not Odin. You said
Yes.
it, and now you're saying it is. He became the All Father.
Your inability
the
to
All-Father?
understand occult things is not
Because
my
you're
problem.
into the occult. Exactly. This is
that's
the
called
crux.
the hidden understanding.
Odinism.
Something you're not smart
Odinism
enough to
did
understand.
not
Hold
care.
on. I'm having a hard time hearing the both of you because your mics are bouncing off of each other.
Sorry.
So that means the audience can't either. And this is good. We're finally getting somewhere, but one at a time, please.
So, Odinism. Okay. Odinism is on the table.
Go ahead and tell me about my thing.
The thing. So if we go to you and I go to the thing this year, am I going to be able to graft myself back in or in?
Have you done any studying on it? Have you talked to Odin at
I
all?
mean, I have. Well, Odin? No, I haven't talked to him. No.
Well, then
no,
you do not. Then no, you cannot just graft yourself in.
But you said I could.
I say yes, you could. You have the ability.
What would be required of me?
Does that mean that you could just fucking decide you are? I mean, do you want to
be required of me?
Too?
What would be required of me?
Actually, do it.
What would be required of me?
Yeah, you for any fucking group to accept you, most of them have a 1 year period where you have to prove that you have actually studied, you actually take this seriously.
Is that a legal requirement? Is that a legal? No. Oh, so I could just graft myself in then.
The group won't accept you.
But it doesn't matter. It's not legal. There's no.
Well, I mean, you could say that you're married to fucking Supergirl too, but I don't know that anybody will care.
Right. So there's got to be a legal standard. So I can't just graft myself in.
Dude, just for you.
Nobody can graft themselves in to a 9th century lineage that doesn't know the lineage. This is just the reality of it. You can't just, I'm part of the Abrahamic lineage.
There's kindred out there.
This is the difference between your religion and many religions. See, the Native Americans actually had similar standards. It was a lineage religion. And this is the hard, fast rule. And this is the part that I really understand that you don't believe and don't get, but it is. This is
Show me the
reality
rule.
of it.
Show me the fucking rule, Brick.
Heimskringla or whatever it is. Yeah, okay.
And nowhere does that say that you can't follow Odin because you don't know your family line back to Odin. Go ahead and bust that fucking verse out for me, bro.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Lan Namabak, the Book of Settlements, said that the ships approaching, they've got to remove their little carved dragon heads.
You understand that this is just for one country, even? You understand it was just for one little city in one country. It wasn't even the whole fucking country, and it wasn't the entirety of Northern Europe.
Well, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Why did they remove the dragon head?
Remove what now?
So, like when they went and landed on the coastline there, why would they remove the dragon head or the figurehead of the ship specifically? Why would they do that?
Because they were claiming it as theirs.
No, incorrect, sir. They did not want to offend or provoke the land spirits.
Oh, you mean, okay, I see. The
Book of Settlements?
Two different things get thrown out, actually.
Yeah. So there was a reason why they did it. They didn't want to offend the land spirits.
Sure.
So if you offend the land spirits, that's a problem.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So there's, I think,
Back
three
to
major.
the goddamn land spirits.
Yeah,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
the fuck does that got to do with Odin fucking? God damn it.
There's three major.
Christ play.
Here's what I will say. We've got about 15 minutes left. So if
Let it
there
make it
are,
because I'm not going to go through the land spirit thing 4 questions again.
So if there are very specific things you want to lock in before we close, now's the time to get to them.
I mean, I've got a lot of citation here. Quite a bit of it comes from Snorri, but I know that you said you don't really trust Snorri because he's a Christian, and you take a lot of his stuff with a grain of salt. But I also have, like I mentioned, the Havamil.
Havamal.
Sorry, I apologize if I mispronounce stuff.
No
the Lay of Grimnir, Lan Namabak, laws of early Iceland, Eagle Saga was Skala Grimsonar. I think how you pronounce it. I mean, this is obviously the scholar stuff. Now you might, like I mentioned in the opening, have way more books than what I have available to me because you've been researching this for quite some time.
Yep.
But I think one of the major hangups that I'm having with it is that you're saying one thing, which is that this is not something that's like a hard, fast rule in these things. It's just like, whatever we decide together at the time. And then when it comes to, like, do I need to believe that Odin is real? Like, that's going to be a hard, fast rule. But that's like, well, what's the point then? If there's no hard, fast rule, but there is hard, fast rule.
Because it's a relationship between
That's the way free men get to live. And I understand that one's having a real tough time for you. But again, try reading Tacitus Germania, and it's a society of free men. That's a high trust society that we just assume that you're not going to act wrong, and if you do, we just kick you out.
Who was Tacitus?
Tacitus was a Roman historian.
And you trusted him?
Well, he is the first written. Well, there's supposedly 2 other written accounts prior to Tacitus, but they are both gone. But Tacitus, they're both historically recognized, but Tacitus also draws from them.
When did he live?
98 AD.
98 AD, and he wrote about the Germanic tribes of the 900s to 1300s.
Germania.
About Germania
about Germania, but not Odinism.
Well, that's who we're talking about.
But did he specifically write about Odinism?
No, he didn't. No, I don't think he
didn't.
ever goes in the books that were on the religion, because it was 4 different books. 3 of them are lost. Tacitus's remain, which was mostly about the culture, and then there's 2 other by Tacitus.
Yes, and he compares him to Mercury.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tacitus compares Odin to Mercury. Yeah, you were right. My bad. I forgot.
And Snorri lived during.
Snorri's 1,200 years after that, 1,300 years.
But he lived during the most prominent time where people were actually writing things down. There were scrolls.
That's when the Christians started, when the full Christianization happened. So then by that point in time, we had monasteries and things. And there was just the paper and shit like that was more readily available. So you started seeing, so like a lot of these that you listed are actually just like, so like Hawksbuck. This is Buck is book, and then Hawks is the family. So this is same like Egil saga. These are family sagas. The Flatty Yarbuk. That's just the family, and then this is the book that their family was able to afford to have written, either Most cases you would have a scribe come in, and those kind of things were just readily available by that time period. So you saw a real explosion of things that went from an oral history into written history in the 13th and 14th century, late 12th.
So tell me about the Vagabond ropes. Was that a hard, fast rule?
The what?
Vagabond ropes. So like the ropes that you would cordon off your property with as a farmer.
That was specifically in Iceland, and it's interesting because some of what we were talking about with farming earlier would come into play with this, where we were talking about how we desertify land. So after Iceland's settlement started exploding and taking off, and then with the forced Christianization and heathens moving north, Iceland exploded in population, and they cordoned off like that the different land pieces. That's specifically an Iceland thing. And you were cordoning off your land, and the land there got so overgrazed, and they cut down so many trees to quickly build, because the land had never had people on it before. So they wiped out the trees, grazed down the land, totally killed the land for about 2 fucking centuries.
So with their community council, like if you didn't do that properly, like lay out all the Vagabond rope.
Yeah, that's a of course. I'm not sure why you're mixing law and what we don't have religion, but what you would be is the worship of Odin, and this is the legal things, and the two things don't really mix that much.
So law doesn't matter in Odinism.
I explained this part too, Clay.
I mean, I'm
I even cited a bunch of examples.
I know that some of it's tradition. I understand that some of it's
it's not. There's just not rules like you want there to be rules, and even further, in most countries, there's a secular rule and a religious rule, and you as a person are dancing in between the two things.
I'm not dancing, you're dancing. You're dancing.
Jesus Christ.
I'm being honest with statements. Are you scared? You're scared of stuff, right? Oh, you're muted, Sarah.
Hold on. It just kicked out to the other mic.
I'm cool with it.
Clay, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I'm cool.
All right. Okay. And yeah, let's go ahead and kick off. Ben, if you'd like to give us your closing statement, please.
I came with like a pad full of notes, expecting maybe at least some kind of an attempt to show a break in the actual worship of Odin at any given time throughout history. I was hoping that he had done more, and he didn't even get into that part. I don't understand where this went. I understand it was a attempt at making like a little quirk thing, but it just doesn't even make sense, especially for somebody that lives symbiotically on their land. I'm not sure how that part would have anything to do with which god I worship. I would still want my land to thrive and my land to be happy land. Like I said, did not try and reasonably show a break in the actual culture of Odin in and of itself, including like at best, he tried to make it into a state, like the actual, it runs the state, like it should be making state laws, and Christianity doesn't run most of the countries it's in, like most religions don't. So I'm not sure why he can't understand that each country had its own laws and its own culture and things like that, but they also all worshiped Odin in their own ways. I understand that the Christian church has winnowed down and specifically went through complete wars and killing each other in order to winnow down into a specific doctrine, which then broke apart into 45,000 different fucking religions and sects. So I'm not sure why none of that can apply to Odinism, but he's made some rules that I don't know where those rules exist, and then tried to put the impetus of finding the rules on me, and also finding the century in which Odinism didn't exist. And I definitely was not here to take the affirmative against myself. Hey, I was so much more prepared for so much more. I wish it hadn't went into that circular thing, but I did appreciate Clay put in quite a bit of study, obviously, and picked up a bunch of things. I appreciate that. I appreciate the exchange that we had until it turned into a broken record. But thanks for the debate. Love you both.
Thank you, Mr. Balderson. And I have dropped the link into the live chat if anybody would like to come on, ask any questions, or have any comments towards the topic. Clay, if you'd like to kick us off with your closing statement, please.
Sure. Just want to thank everybody again. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Sarah, as well. The Raging Tomato. This was actually very good, in my opinion. This is much more respectful of a conversation than I was expecting. We got a little lost in a couple of weeds. That's okay. I don't mind that. Did want to ask Ben about the statement you made about the All Father, which he was kind of back and forth, in my opinion, on that. It's either he is the All Father or he isn't. I know we got stuck on land tier, the land spirits being the spirits of that land. And when it comes to that, there is a strictness to that. I mean, if you're gonna want to be in a certain area, if you're an Odinist, you're gonna have to respect the land spirits. That's what I read, and I'm pretty sure Ben agrees with that. But as we see, and I've pointed out, and I don't know if Ben agrees with this part, but he does not know which land spirits are part of the land in which he resides. He also does not know the rituals or sacrifices necessary. I mentioned that in that particular area, the Sinkion and the other tribe, I'm not going to butcher their name again, that they claim to have that area as their ancestral land. And that particular tribe and those tribes do not, let me repeat that, do not have a grafting methodology to their tribe. It just doesn't exist. And the funny thing about that is the hard, fast rule for most American native tribes. For those people who would come over here, the European settlers, they would come settle on land that there was no grafting to a native tribe or to the land spirits. And this is why I wanted to stick hard and fast on that. I'm sticking hard and fast on that because that is the truth. There is no grafting into that community. In my opinion, the Old Norse religion operated in a similar fashion. There wasn't a grafting into that. In fact, I only know of a few, particularly the Abrahamic religions, that do a particular grafting like that. So what that would tell me is that Ben is actually pulling in a Christianized view toward his own particular religion, where grafting is possible. This is not accurate. The Old Norse religion did not just accept anybody. There were rules, there were laws, there were communal boundaries, there were ropes that were laid out in particular villages to put up a particular boundary. There were fences, there were laws. And no society on earth that's ever existed for any extended period of time outside of a family arrangement exists because they just do whatever the heck they want. And this is just the reason why I wanted to go into the legality. And in all seriousness, I love Ben for who he is. He's a hardworking man out there. I appreciate you, bro, for 100%. And love you, bro. And thank you so much, Sarah. And I'm going to say this as well before I close this out. you guys need to send some stinking donos for having Sarah put up with us up here.
I love you
starting
guys.
out.
I love you so much. And again, the link has been dropped in the live chat. If you'd like to join in for this conversation, please feel free to click the link now. We're going to read a couple super chats and then we'll move into the open panel. James sends the big 10. Yes, it's technically 10. He just shied me 2 pennies just so he wouldn't help make the goal. He says, no question, just supporting the channel. We love you, James. Mr. Tom Carpenter says, listening while driving, don't say anything crazy to make me crash. Dear Frosty
Anything
sends
crazy.
anything crazy. Frosty sends a big 10. He says, I am Heimdaller. Benjamin, did I say that right?
Ale Heimdall.
Ah, very nice. Thank you, Frosty. He also follows up with another big 10. He says, Clay, legality was a term by Christians for primitive capitalism to multiply, absorb, and make consumerism trend. The best ideas are not always the most sensible. So yes, some people would prefer region-specific religion and commonality. Any thoughts?
Yeah. So legalism was a concept that actually came from the ancient Chinese dynasties. It's not something that was invented necessarily, but legalism, legality or rules have always existed. This is just the reality of things. Like even your family arrangement would have rules. Like I know I'm taking a little bit of liberty calling them laws, but in the household, Papa's law. That's the way it works. But no, when you're talking about societies and building societies, legalism itself did not come from a Christian thing. The funny thing about that is that Christians technically are
knock it off.
Oh, sorry, Clay.
Technically, you have to be Jew in order to be Christian first, and then you also have to be from Abraham. You also have to be from Melchizedek. You also have to be from Noah. So, understanding this history of legalism, I'm sorry, sir. I love you, bro. I love that you come through all the time. Definitely support Sarah. Send some stinking donuts, people. But no, that is not a Christian ideology, legalism. It's just something that's always existed, even in Norse religion.
Thank you, Clay. Any thoughts to you, Ben?
It just didn't. And actually, there's a comment above here, and as he put what Tacitus described it as, unspoken law is what keeps your neighbors from acting like animals and robbing you from next door. There's all kinds of unspoken rules that we follow as a polite society so we can get along with other people, and we don't got to write them down.
Fair enough. Karen obtaining her membership, I believe, over on Mr. Balderson's side. And of course, Vibe sending in his big 10, asking the big question to you, Ben, could Odinism realistically function in modern Western society? That's a good question.
Modern Western society is formed after the thing where the original republic was free men that owned land would come and they would vote their opinions and put in on the decisions that were getting made for everybody. That is the original thing.
Clay, do you agree?
I agree, right? Yeah. Love you, Vibe. Thank you, sir. You're the goat. No, yeah, absolutely. The Western ideology of communal getting together and we're going to now make these rules. That specific thing came from the Scandinavian and Germanic tribes, and then later the Spanish and the French adopted it, and it moved into the Phoenician area, and like Italy and Greece and all of that. But the Middle East was strictly religious law. That's the way that worked. And then when you got out into further out east would be the dynasties. And they had legalism too, but there was very little, there was some sacrificial type communities and tribal societies, but it wasn't like what you find in the Middle East for sure, and not anything like in the West.
Hold on, sorry. All right, well, that was it for those.
Sarah, before we kick off, could you quick pull up a map so And Frosty did show himself. Could you?
Oh, he did.
I put it. Yeah, he just showed himself just now. I saw that you didn't see it. There he is again.
Thank you, Frosty.
And in your Discord, I sent you a map of the region that I live in, so Clay can at least understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, please.
All right, give me a second. I gotta open up Discord now.
And this is a pre-contact map, so this is prior to Christian or prior to the empire coming over and wiping out a substantial amount of these tribes.
Yeah, I really wish it wasn't like that. I do not approve.
No, that is that I wouldn't necessarily blame that on any religion. I blame that on empire, because I don't know not many religions where they actually push, go slaughter everybody else. That's just wild.
It was only like specific points in history, actually. And
so,
Crusades are
up here.
You know,
I live up in this upper left-hand corner where it's just like, and you can see that the tribe that you're talking about is see that tiny little pink stripe. On the left-hand side, do you see the pink stripe?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Maybe that's the tribe that you're talking about.
Sure.
I live up north of that. See, I live in between that and Hoopa.
The Wilkut or
yeah.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. No, that's great. And so I do like to go into the histories of the native. I mean, I don't believe in all of this stuff, but I do want to know, right? Because I don't want to disrespect, right? And I mean, like you said, maybe you know a little bit more about that particular tribe. You said Christy had done a little bit of research into them and all of that, and I would
wanted to learn the local spirits and also the land, the medicines that we can harvest in the land, because how they used them and whatnot, and unfortunately the again, Orthodox are not overly forgiving about things.
It's a big Orthodox area, you said then.
Oh, huge Orthodox area here. It's all Russian Orthodox.
Sorry to hear that.
Makes sense though, based on geography.
It does.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get our panel up. I've got 3 backstage. We'll get through their questions and comments, and then we'll get on out of here. Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off over to Salty Santa. Hello, and the little elf. We love you both so much. I'm so glad you're here. Go ahead, kick us off. Question, comment, whatever you got for us.
Okay. Good evening, all. Good discussion before that. Yeah, you got stuck in some ruts, but Clay, how is it that one culture can judge another without participating in it? Why do you feel qualified then to look at Ben's life and go, bro, I think you're LARPing, when honestly the same accusation could be pointed at any modern Christian?
It's a fair question. Certainly, definitely a fair question. So there's a difference between Christianity and any other faith, just like there's a difference between Odinism and any other faith. Now, the Abrahamic faiths, as far as I know, are one of the only that you can graft into. So when I look out and I see something of a person who claims to be a particular thing, like if I were to claim to be president of the United States, somebody would most likely say, "Sorry, bro, you're just not." Right? And they would probably say, maybe you're just LARPing. And in this case, I'm going to stick to that claim because my understanding of Odinism, I mean, this is definitely the scholar's understanding of Odinism. Certainly, they wouldn't lie to us, right? I mean, it's not just one scholar either. Here's the thing. It's not just one scholar.
Well, scholars have a bias.
Sure, but it is multiple sources, some of which Ben does trust. And like I mentioned in the debate, obviously Snorri was a Christian, but he lived during that time, and he was indeed someone who practiced a religion, I guess you could say, of that time that was not Christian at the time. He became Christian, right? So I don't see how his understanding of the religion or the belief system or the customs would be improper to take a look at. And then at that point, it's just a matter of whether the person trusts the source or not.
Sure.
And again, with the biology of it all, my understanding of it is that it's very similar to the natives here in America, and there's all sorts of tribes throughout Africa that do the same thing. It's a bloodline thing. Their spirits are part of their tribe, and there's no like grafting into it. That's the way I see it. I mean, now I could be
sure what tribe I'm trying to graft into. You keep mixing up state, and again, this is happening with Iceland. Like you name Icelandic laws, and then you try and describe a culture that expanded the entirety of Northern Europe, and did
family
in the Slavic and Russian area and whatnot.
So was it a family? Was it a family? Was it just a family?
All the peoples descended from that area.
So what normal people call it is a tribe then.
Yeah, and that's where my people come from. Yeah, so I'm not sure.
That's why I'm calling it a tribe.
Either. But I mean, I don't think most people look at me and go, "That guy's sub-Saharan South African."
Yeah. Okay. So in the North they called it a clan.
Oh damn! I was wrong.
but still, we understand that to be in normal English. They're transferable. One means the other thing. It's clan, tribe, community. These words are synonymous. So that's why I call it a tribe.
Okay.
And respectfully, and I don't want to quibble, but
all the tribes worship that pantheon of gods. You
didn't all worship the same way.
Any specific. They all did it however they wanted, but they all worshipped that tribe, that pantheon of gods. I don't need to go and try and join some tribe.
I mean, in the particular clan that you're speaking of, the Odinists, those that came from Odin, those that believe they came from Odin, there was no grafting.
So I already explained to you that most people didn't worship Odin, that was actually typically just the sorcerer or the Vikia of the tribe, that actually most people worshiped Thor.
Are
most
you a sorcerer?
People did that. There was.
Are you a sorcerer?
Yeah, they had sorcerers.
Are you a sorcerer?
I would be what, yes, they would consider a sorcerer, yes.
You're a sorcerer and a farmer?
I'm an alchemist. I'm a lab alchemist.
And a farmer. And a farmer,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. See, Odin is the god of wisdom. He wants me to know as much as I can know. He ripped his eye out for knowledge. He hung on the fucking tree of Yggdrasil for 9 days with his spear piercing himself, sacrificed himself to himself for the wisdom of the world. This is not a god that wants me to be stupid.
I mean, maybe he does. I don't know, bro. Like, that's not for me to say. I'm not the one who's going to argue with you about that particular part, right? It's whether you believe it or not.
I'm also a certified electrician. I have 2 mechanics degrees. Anything else you want?
No. I mean, like if
they
you're
podcast.
an Odinist, if you're an Odinist, there's a strict adherence, and that in the Western world, we do call that
strict adherence to
legalism.
what? Show me the rule list.
So you specifically named at least one. I've got to first believe in Odin.
That before a tribe will accept you.
So
I don't know about the
Odin
tribe
will
next
accept
door.
anybody?
Maybe they won't care.
Oh,
In fact, there was actually one tribe that worshipped
Will Odin
the sun
accept anybody?
in northern Germania.
Will Odin accept anybody?
Odin himself? I don't speak for Odin.
So you don't know. That's a fair answer.
Okay, so getting back and not to be petty or anything, Clay, I did join a tribe over the past week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was adopted in.
He joined Mater Nation tribe.
And
I don't know if that's going to be our thing, though.
Yeah. The Oglala Lakota do have a hunka ceremony. It's fairly uncommon. And so I was adopted by, my brother. And so in the traditional times, I would have been part of the full tribe. In modern times, especially with a lot of the stuff that the BIA did, they stopped practicing that. Now the people in the Tiaspai that I go to are, say, larger extended family. I'm accepted there because for years I've been serving that group and my service as a fireman at the Sundance and everything else. And so if I'm not hearing Ben incorrectly, the way that you graft into a population like that is you shut up, serve, and observe. It's not cerebral to become part of the Lakota. It's watch, and then it's just kind of funny, but I have a better understanding by watching for 3 or 4 years than discussing. So I don't see how his adoption of Odinism would be incomplete or cosplay, because cosplay to me has a connotation that he's LARPing.
Absolutely,
would you disagree?
Yeah, that's exactly what I I titled it as specifically. Yeah. So would you say that you could just
stop
make up your own rules after reading like some literature, or would you actually need to be in contact with those people?
Well, I think there's a difference between a spiritual pursuit and a cultural one. Yes. Now, a lot of times they can overlap. But even while I was on the Lakota reservation, there were easily half the people that aren't following the traditional ways when that's exactly what I'm pursuing.
Well, so with the grafting,
he's being generous with that half.
With specifically with the grafting into a particular people, and this would go with any people. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the Abrahamic religion, Odinism, or the people that you were grafted into. In order to do that, those people have to be involved in that, correct?
I'm not. I would agree and disagree, just from my personal experience. First, I would agree with the Lakota, and I would agree with the Eastern Band of Cherokee, which I cannot graft into because I've not found people with culture. Right? At best, I can go to Cherokee, North Carolina, but I'm not likely to meet a lot of the same
you've got blood for that, right? So you got blood.
I've got blood for that, absolutely. But
you are one of those people because you can actually trace your ancestry to a full-blooded Cherokee person.
Baker roll and the whole shebang. Yeah,
perfect. See, that's a difference, right? There's a difference in that.
Oh, I agree. And I said, for the two, I would agree. But for Taoism, for example, which is both a religion and a culture, depending on how it's expressed, there is no grafting in. It's just an honoring of life. And so that's how my, Christianity could transition back to being with Taoism, because they don't compete at all.
Right. And see, that's another misconception. So all of these,
what's the misconception? I'm sorry.
Well, particularly Christianity, you could call yourself a Christian, but that won't make you a Christian. It's just like you.
I don't disagree.
Right.
I followed everything in the law, and so unless you're saying
you're a Taoist, you're not a Christian.
baptisms weren't valid, that my statements of faith weren't valid, you've never heard me renounce Christ.
If you're a Taoist, you're not a Christian, though.
Well, that's your ignorance and not understanding what Taoism is.
Well, Taoism is a faith,
not Buddhism. Correct? Taoism is not Buddhism.
It's a faith, though. It's a belief system.
Well, brushing your teeth is a religion.
No,
I don't have faith.
Is a necessity so that you don't get rotten teeth.
Okay, and that's a necessity too. But when I'm honoring life, I'm being a great Taoist.
Honoring life, you can be a great Taoist, but that doesn't make you a Christian.
But where does it exclude? Show me biblically where it cannot be.
It excludes because you are practicing rituals according to a faith outside of Christianity.
Oh, you mean like mindfulness?
So I'll tell you exactly.
So mindfulness is satanic.
Spiritism.
No, you're making things way out past your skis, bro.
Spiritism is a problem in Christianity.
I don't worship house elves. Don't lacquer onto me everything from traditional Chinese practices. I was very specific in Taoism and the true reality school, if you want to know, and it's internal alchemy. It's not like worshiping. You pass honor, but there's no worshiping of a different god. It's the Tao. That's not technically worshipped.
Oh, it's not technically worship. Oh, so and this is what I'm talking about, right? So you're giving.
I'm still asking for the biblical reference.
Oh, you want the biblical reference?
I'll wait. Because the Tao is not a god. That's why I'm saying the Western mind is ignorant. Things written by a bunch of Franciscans who went over to steal knowledge from the Chinese people are not a valid reporter because they saw everything through the frame. Even Wilhelm, who was a great initial translator, came from the frame of Christianity. And so what is Taoism on its own? You show me even the Tao Te Ching where it says anything, and now go worship. It doesn't say that. It's more of an instruction on valid approaches to life as it continues to change. That's what the Daiji 2 is really about. It's not that there's always parity in every situation with the light and the dark. It's a symbol that represents a constant change. And it shows the light and the dark are possessed within the light and the dark in the greater sense, which is absolutely consistent with Scripture, where God says himself, I created evil. So, I mean, perhaps we should have a debate sometime about what Taoism actually says, concordant or incongruous with the Bible, but I'm still waiting for the Scripture. I don't have another God before what you would call God.
Mm-hmm. The acts of the flesh are obviously sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery.
I'm asexual. I don't do drugs and I don't worship anything. You would call an idol.
Yeah, let me read.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're fragile about getting interrupted. Go ahead, please.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not fragile. It's just like if you start talking, God gave you one mouth.
Practice what you preach, Christian. I'm listening.
You're still interrupting.
No, he's not.
No, you weren't talking.
I was talking, and then
you decided. God, this is meta. Get to it.
It is meta. You're right. So, the acts of the flesh are obviously sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery, idolatry, and witchcraft. Idolatry and witchcraft, right there.
And before the living God, where can you make that as accusation, brother? For if another finds a brother in sin, he is to go and gently restore him. Are you not? So where am I guilty of the sin? Where is the accuser?
Are you? Look, you believe
there is Christ not a single idol in my house.
You believe Christ is King?
Not the way you do.
Exactly.
Okay, so I don't agree with you. So I'm cast out.
You
That's
as a
not
Christian.
what Jesus says.
See, this is what I'm talking about. you as a Christian, it wouldn't matter what comes after or before. If I ask you, do you believe Christ is king? The answer to that is simply yes. You're not a Christian.
Well, I simply don't accept your framing of that question.
Do you believe Christ is king?
Show me.
How is that a framing?
In the Bible where Jesus says,
"Hey, do you believe Christ is king?"
Up. Don't be afraid of your face.
Yes
your
or
Bible.
yes or no? Yes or no?
Show me in your
yes
Bible
or
where
no.
Jesus says
yes
you have
or
to
no.
acknowledge my
yes
kingship.
Bro, this is such an easy question.
This is just like last night.
Do you?
You know, they were saying if you don't believe
do
in the
you
Trinity,
believe Christ is king?
Well, that's
yes
a Trinitarian kind of thing, isn't it?
You know,
he was made Lord over creation.
Oh, we just had Trinitarian debate last night. If you'd have heard me on that panel, I would not have said I'm a. In fact, I said I don't believe
agree.
Trinitarian.
It's another bunch of Christians saying
Christ
if you don't agree with us,
do you believe Christ is king? Yes or no?
Belief.
Do you believe Christ is king?
Not in the way you
Since
do.
you wanted to take over
into
Christianity,
your question, Clay,
since you wanted to talk about Christianity instead of the topic, now I'm asking you. Do you believe Christ is king?
You asked me about my situation.
Yes or no, dude?
My
yes or oh my God, bro.
Not
like,
the way
what are we
you
doing here?
do.
Stop being a little snake, you little shit snake.
Okay.
Squirmy ass little.
Yeah.
You just don't
hold
like
on,
the
hold
question,
on.
or the answer.
Clay, you're kind of like going into Spurg zone right now.
Well, the man's not answering the question. It's a simple yes or no.
Though. But why is that making you emotional?
I'm asking him. He won't answer.
Clay,
it's not emotion. It's literally just me asking a question, and he's being a little shit snake.
Clay,
shit snake.
Take a breath.
What do you want me to do? The man came up here to ask me questions. Now he wants to talk about Christianity. Okay, does he believe Christ is king?
It's relevant.
How is this?
How is my faith relevant to your?
You brought up your faith.
Okay.
You brought it up, not me.
Yep.
Okay.
I said it's not
emotional. I'm just asking you a question. Since you said you're a Christian, do you believe Christ is king?
Did I already say he was made Lord over creation? So now you're quibbling over words.
Yes or no? This is what I'm calling you.
I'm not going to answer yes or no because you're
move on. This guy's not even
okay.
Remotely.
Well, I guess I'm not serious because
he's not answering the question. You brought up the
I'm
faith
not indoctrinated. I don't live.
You brought up the faith thing. You brought up your own faith.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you a question about it.
Absolutely.
But you're not willing to answer.
And I answered your question like.
What did Jesus say about? What did Jesus tell his disciples before he left the earth?
Go and make disciples of all nations.
Right. To do what?
To live in the world and make disciples of all nations.
To preach and teach. So why are you afraid to declare your faith? Sir.
I'm not at all. If you've listened,
then why don't you
in a different way than you see it?
Yeah, it's a different way because
so
you're not.
Call me a new denomination and accept.
You would see me as your Christian brother.
Yeah,
and that's it, bro. And you would say, "Yes, I believe Christ is king."
Well, that's how you live, and that's the people that you live with, and that's all great.
Is Christ the anointed one?
He is appointed as the anointed one.
No, he is the anointed one. He is appointed.
You're quibbling over words.
You are trying to roll around in the dirt.
I'm saying that I have my faith and I'll defend before the living God.
I'm just asking you a simple yes or no question. You're the one rolling around in the dirt.
It's not a yes or no question. You want to make it a yes
nothing's a yes or no question with the Taoist.
I said yes, but not in the way you say. Not in the way you preach.
You're a Taoist.
Not in the way you live.
You're a Taoist. Because you are a
my question then goes over to Ben, please.
You will not make a faith claim.
Now go over to Ben, please.
Make a faith claim. Anyone.
Yeah, go ahead, Santa. You want to move on to Ben?
Please.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Ben, when somebody says about your belief systems and whatever you're living and you're stridently, passionately, perhaps diligently working on that, what does it sound like to hear that it's cosplay and then not hear a single reference of beyond I disagree?
Yeah,
I didn't hear a proof.
It was kind of wild. I didn't expect it to go there. What I really expected was a break in people worshiping Odin. But he just made up rules that he can't back up in any way. I'm not sure if he's questioning my Germanic heritage or my Scottish heritage.
I used references.
I'm definitely, you definitely didn't reference where you came up with those rules where you decided if I can't trace
I did.
my
I
line
used
back to
citations,
Odin,
sir. I used a
where,
lot of
where I
citations.
can't.
You just didn't
No,
accept
you
Snorri.
didn't.
And I used
No,
also.
you didn't. You said a name and then you
I didn't
listed
use
like
Snorri.
5 books.
Just let Ben talk.
But you didn't in any way actually cite anything. You just started saying names and that you can't worship Odin or be an Odin or be part of the Norse pantheon, because like I said, some people they were about Thor, Frey, fucking Tyr, you name it. So I'm not sure where Clay came up with these rules. I'm fairly comfortable. I've read more of the literature and own more of it than he even knows what exists. But I've not read these rules.
Right. Now, you and I have talked, and not to bring Christianity or churchianity or anything into it, when we've talked about the different native tribes, did you have the sense that there's an insistence on locality from the things that I'm learning from pure lineage tribes?
No, definitely different tribes had different areas they tended to live in.
Sure.
But everybody, and this is something I tried pointing out in the debate, people have migrated historically all over the place. I can name numerous migrations. Like I said, at one point in time, there was a volcanic blast that covered most of Northern Europe, and it darked out like after like 2 or 3 years of failed crops because there was no sun. Everybody booted their ass south and went and did their thing in the south. They were still Odinists, just because they moved to a different piece of land didn't suddenly all of a sudden they get kicked out of being you can't be on Team Odin no more. I don't know how that pans out. I don't know.
Now, I'm fairly ignorant about Odinism, as you're already familiar. What do you understand are the qualification from other Odinists about what you need to do and or say and or learn and or show before you're grafted in, to use the biblical term?
So there's 2 schools of thought. There's one that's folkish, and somebody asked about AFA. Most of the AFA clans are folkish. Folkish meaning that you need to have the bloodline of being descended from Germania, somewhere in Northern Europe, which is the entirety of my bloodline.
So that'd be Scandinavian in general.
Yeah, you've got to be from that area. That's where your people descend from. So it's called folkishness. The other branch is called universalists. Universalists, anybody can worship Odin, anybody can join anything. One of the things with universalists, though, is you start seeing it turns into a very muddy pool where it turns into like this high school hip or college hippie girl that's just fucked up on drugs, and she's like, Isis and Freya and Tehakate, and you know, you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. And then one last question: you know, looking at where it's not abused, where there appears to be the sincerity in the work and unification with nature creation, do these groups tend to accept each other on peer, not necessarily grafting in, but if you guys were to go to a nationwide or international meeting, would you generally recognize each other as genuine?
Yeah, there is an all thing. Yeah, there's an all thing in America even. It's fairly large. And they do absolutely recognize each other. Each tribe, each clan, each whatever, they all have their own rituals, their own things that they do. You definitely need to somehow be involved with the Norse, or Germanic pantheon of gods. But do they have rules on how you personally do things at your place? No. Now, is there rules to how you're going to behave at the all thing? Of course. You can't go there, and if you do something real wild and crazy, like I knew this one tribe, they called them, their nickname was the Nipple Tribe, and they used to have the girls walk around most of our things. Rather than an altar, there's a fire and a circular fire, and you walk around the fire, and everything's done in a closed circle. and they would have the girls walk around the circle to end it or to seal it, and then flick their nipples on the way by. And we call them we didn't we're not into that, but that's their thing, and nobody says shit about it because that's their business. If you want to do the nipple flick thing, do the nipple flick thing. That's your problem.
Sure. Well, thank you both. And I do appreciate the discussion. If there's a time later, maybe Clay can show me how I'm condemned to hell. So, but appreciate you guys.
I've never made that claim, my friend.
Okay, well, I'm not a Christian. What do you think I would do? Love you guys.
What are you talking about? I don't know what the fuck's going to happen to you.
All right, all right. A natural selectionist, your thoughts, questions, commentary. Let's go.
What's up, brother?
Hey, so the prompt was about whether or not Odinism is primarily LARPing or cosplay, and that implies that it's like primarily performative and that there's not significant amount of real belief behind it. But considering that for the vast majority of Odinists, they're coming to it because they have a belief that is outside the mainstream, because they latched onto something or had a spiritual experience that led them there. You know, you can look at a mainstream religion like Christianity or Islam, and there are plenty of people who will just go to their church or their mosque because that's what they were told to do, and they don't really have any real belief. But in order for you to come to Odinism or any other branch of paganism, really, you're stepping outside the norm, and you're having to do that for a reason. It's not typically just, this is what I was raised in, so I just go out of habit. It's not typically, I'm just going there to be part of a community, or, you know, to just perform in a ritual, or just enjoy the show at a mega church or whatever. So you never really made any kind of argument in your back and forth with Benjamin that Odinism was primarily performative. What evidence do you have that people are coming to Odinism specifically for the sake of being performative?
So a person being grafted in just simply doesn't exist for Odinism. I've made this claim multiple times. In fact, I went down a long questionnaire so that I could make this possible to be understood, right? So I wanted to make sure that that I led us to a certain conclusion. Now, Ben doesn't accept certain literature. I can't do anything about that. But the man that he's not accepting was a literal person living during that time who later became a Christian, but was born into that particular culture. So because that man lived during that time, Tacitus, by the way, lived in like the early first century or late first century. Actually, like that right there is just wild that he would believe the claims of a man who also wasn't an Odinist, but then he would believe that claim of Tacitus.
I'm not sure which claim exactly of Snorri's that you're saying that I don't believe. Yeah, you keep bringing up the name, but you've been very claimless in actual specificity in claims and actually listing.
Sure I just made the claim again.
Here's where Snorri says, if you're not of direct lineage of Odin and you can't trace it back to Odin, you don't get to be in the Odin club. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for that. I asked for it a long time ago, and you haven't listed anything.
No, you
else.
didn't. You never asked for it, but I
certainly did
early on.
I certainly did.
But okay, you also said I don't really trust Snorri.
So to get back to this, so I guess your claim then has nothing to do with whether or not Odinism is LARPing, but whether or not it's legitimate to come back to Odinism as somebody whose ancestors stopped practicing Odinism for however many hundreds of years.
Hence the LARP.
But when you look at the beliefs of folkish pagan religions, their belief is that if you are descended from those people, the gods still live in your bloodline, they still live in your DNA, and you can go back to them at any time. So there's nothing in the religion that says you cannot come back to the religion as long as you were descended from it.
Well, I brought
selectionist. Would you say that you're actually LARPing going to a desert religion that your ancestors aren't from?
Not if that religion says you can graft in.
Yeah,
if the religion says you can graft in, then that's fine.
He's king of the Jews. Are you a Jew?
You can't graft into a religion that doesn't allow you to graft in, Ben.
He's
okay,
king
but
of the Jews.
nobody who's coming to Odinism, at least for the folkish version of it, no one's being grafted in. We're already part of that ethnic bloodline.
So anybody with that ethnic bloodline can be an Odinist. This is I made this point earlier too. So the King of England, he can be an Odinist?
He could be, yes. He's
so
not.
King
I mean,
Scott,
assuming that he's actually descended from those people. I don't know
Scott,
the exact bloodline of the.
He could be an Odinist.
the English
Right?
king.
All these people who are living throughout England that don't believe Odin is even real.
Yeah, all the white Northern European people are descended from that same bloodline.
Yeah. So and then there's people out in the Middle East, people throughout China, in Australia, down there in Antarctica, probably too. By the way, they can become Odinists
if they are descended from that bloodline. The vast majority of people in China or India or Africa are not descended from them.
Europeans there are in the world right now, bro?
Yeah, hundreds of millions.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to tell me that there's like hundreds of millions of people that are Odinists
that can become Odinists.
You can become.
Yeah, but but you're trying to make it like, oh, you can't be grafted in. There's no grafting in. It's
here's
can
another
choose
problem.
to worship Odin.
Okay, here's another.
And your connection to Odin is based on your heredity.
Fair enough. I'll grant that. Fine. Let's say they were all part of this bloodline. We can be Odinists. What is required now for us to be Odinists? And there are requirements.
So the requirements would be that you are building a relationship with Odin, the spiritual entity.
And how do you do that?
You can worship him. You can give bloat to him. You can make offerings to him. You can meditate and communicate with him through meditation.
And I brought this particular thing up, and we got stuck on it. What was that?
Land
whites. You tell me.
Land whites.
Okay,
the spirits of the land.
Right, because the land whites are local to the land. They're not tied to your ethnic bloodline. They're a separate set of entities from the gods. So the gods are tied to our ethnicity. The land whites are tied to the land. That's why they have land in the name.
Ben knows which tribe lived there in his area.
It doesn't matter with your
it doesn't matter what the land whites are.
We just said it doesn't tie to your fucking bloodline, dude.
Because the land whites are not gods.
It's not a gotcha. See? It's a complete fucking loser. You spent an hour dragging me
at one part. You say, nope, I'm not going to practice that part.
And I actually live fucking permaculture and symbiotically, dude. I don't even know who you're talking to.
I don't live with. I don't care if I make sacrifices to them people. I don't care if that people doesn't want any part of me.
So the land whites are not a determinant of whether or not you're an Odinist. Most Odinists would say that they believe in land whites, but the land whites are tied to the local land. They are not tied to your bloodline. So anybody of any ethnic bloodline can build a connection with the land whites of their specific area, because the land whites are tied to the land that you live on. The gods are what's tied to your ethnic bloodline. So if you're not from Northern Europe, you're going to have a different pantheon of gods that you should be going through for your spiritual needs. But the land whites are local, so he may be dealing with the same land whites as whatever Native American tribe lives there, because that's the land whites, and yet he's got Odin and Freya and Thor as his gods, and the Native Americans have some other set of entities that are their gods. There's different categories of spiritual entities. They're not all exactly the same. They're not all just, interchangeable. One is not exactly like the other. And so I think that's just something about our religion that maybe doesn't make sense to you as an outsider looking in. And maybe that's why.
It absolutely doesn't. It absolutely doesn't, because every single society on Earth that has ever existed throughout the entirety of mankind has laws.
Ha ha ha.
Okay, what does that have to do with the land whites?
It's part of your religion. Is it not?
No.
Land whites isn't part of your religion.
Okay, I understand it's killing you that there's no fucking laws. I don't know how that turns into we didn't have laws like you want is into LARPing and shit. I don't even understand. And I don't understand how you don't understand that it crossed fucking a whole bunch of countries and tribes, the entirety of Northern Europe, and each country had its own laws.
All right, let me cook for a second. So the fact that land whites exist is a part of our religion. The specific land whites that were worshipped or paid respect to in Scandinavia, in Germany, and England are specific to those lands. So if I moved to England, I would be dealing with the same land whites as other people in England, but I'm not in England. I'm in the Midwest, so I'm going to be dealing with the local land whites that are here, because those are the local land whites that are here. And they are a different classification of spiritual entity than the gods. So the fact that I'm dealing with a different set of land rights here than somebody in Scandinavia has nothing to do with whether or not we're dealing with the same Odin, who is a god who is not a land right.
Whoa. The same Odin? What do you mean?
Yes, so like I'm following the same Odin as an Odinist in Scandinavia. I'm following the same Odin as Benjamin Balderson. I'm following the same Odin as someone in Germany or anywhere else in the world.
Do you take the
but
word
we have
Odin
different
to mean
land
God?
rights. Odin is a god. Yes.
A god, not God. Not the All-Father, but the All-Father. See, this is the thing. Is it the All-Father? Is it not the All-Father? Because if he's God, he's God. If he's not a god and he dies, that god dies, he's not a god at all, correct?
So I think you have a completely different definition of God than we do.
Yeah, obviously, I would say God can't fucking die. Number one.
Well, our world is full of things that die and then are reborn. Like, there's a cycle of life, and if our universe has a cycle of life in it, why would the gods that run the universe not also have a cycle of life? I mean, you're saying that a god can't die, and yet your own god died.
If he's a god and he dies, bro, he's dead.
Okay, so
He's
like
not a
pull out your
god.
Bible, read it. Look, your god died for 3 days, bro.
Okay,
Your god
let me
died.
put it this way. What does the word dead mean?
That you're no longer alive.
Boom! There you go. So how can a god be alive and dead at the same time?
Well, they're gods. They're allowed to break some of the rules that we
God?
that we
Yeah,
have to
Jesus
follow.
died 100%.
Okay,
Yeah,
so Jesus died. So how is he a god? You're saying that gods can't
Jesus
die.
wasn't God.
Well, you have a minority view in the Christian.
Yeah, no
camp.
shit.
You're like
because I believe
1% of
I believe
Christians.
what real Christians actually believed. I
Okay,
understand
so 2.5 billion
the real
Christians are wrong and you
believed
have the right
Jews
Christianity.
Were real. So the Jews, right? The Hebrews, right?
Mhm.
They believe something completely different. They don't believe in a Trinity. They don't believe Jesus was God. That's what I believe. See, this is the thing. You're trying to now bring it over to Christianity. Well, you believe this. You believe this. No, bro.
Okay.
No,
So you
I
believe
don't.
in a
You don't know
God
what I
that
believe.
doesn't follow a cycle of life and death the way that his creation does.
No, it's directed.
You believe
All
in a
spirit
God
is
that is
directed.
There
separate
is a
from
thing
your
where your
creation.
logic gets tested for consistency, and when you're trying to just decide that you get to make rules for other ones, but you don't
have your logic tested though, right,
yourself.
Ben?
Yes, then you have inconsistent
But
logic.
you don't need to
That's
have
the
your
way
logic
the game
tested.
works.
Right? You don't know how you don't have to have your logic tested when it comes to the land spirits, though.
Oh, we
As soon as I go to
definitely
land
have a
spirits,
logic
all of a sudden it's a
It's just
problem.
too retarded to
All of a
understand.
sudden, no,
Yeah,
the
not a
land spirits
problem.
of this
Our-
land, I
our
don't have
logic
to worry
about the
about
land-
them.
Our
Not
logic about the
consistent.
land spirits is completely
all
consistent.
right.
Not consistent.
Is that all from you,
No.
natural selectionists?
Yeah, we're good. You can go on to the next guy.
Thank you. Spin, go ahead. Question or comment, please.
I promise I won't yell and argue
Thank you.
for the moment. Love you, Sarah. Hi,
I
Sarah.
love you too.
Hi, everybody. So, bald one, the bald one.
Mhm.
So, what have you done to appease the land spirits in your area?
I maintain my land and I make sure that it stays rich and it grows, and I keep building it up. I build the soil into things that it wasn't before and bring more life to the land. It's beautiful.
Okay. So what are you putting into the soil to make it rich?
Shit. Mostly shit.
Well, I mean, you do got a lot of shit breathing things there. Okay, I get it. All right.
Shit
all right.
pooping things. They don't really breathe the
No,
shit so
no.
much as they poop it out all over the fucking place, and I collect it and then I age it and then I mix it into the soil, and then I go underneath the tree. I go into the trees and I get this thing called mycelium, which is this white spider web looking shit. And what that is a fungi, and it's the native fungi. And then you go and you put that in with what's called a compost tea, where you take that shit and you take some activated carbon or biochar and you put some of that fungi in there and a little bit of molasses, and then you start getting that life that belongs in this place just to enrich into that soil, and it'll eat up that poop, and then your plants go fucking crazy. You've seen the pictures of my
Yes, I've seen a lot of pictures.
I might
Okay,
know a thing or two
so
about that.
okay, so what tells you what to put in that soil?
A lot of years of study.
Study of what? Horticulture?
actually permaculture and
Or
living
permaculture.
soil
Okay, I'm sorry. Wrong
living
word.
soil biology.
Permaculture. Okay. Okay. that makes
Manure.
sense.
Fine. Manure. It's lots of manure.
I'd hate to smell your fucking place. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
Ben.
you
Love
would.
Yes, you would.
Love you, Ben. Also, are you beyond criticism about the publicity declared of your beliefs?
You further explain the question, please.
Meaning, if somebody were to, how do you say, you told somebody and they criticize you about your belief of Odinism and all this other stuff, would you be able to take that constructive criticism or any type of criticism at all and not get angry because somebody does not exactly believe in what your belief may or is?
I live in a very Christianized country, and most people don't believe in Odin. If I needed to pick a fight with every Christian because they don't like Odin, then I think I would, I'd be more beat up than I am now. That's a fact. And I believe I just spent a couple hours having at it with Clay without losing my temper about it.
No.
I think it worked out pretty good.
Okay. All right. So I'm saying without Clay, if you didn't know me and I were to criticize you and say that your belief is a fairy tale and give you 3 explanations why it's a fairy tale, would you be able to take that criticism?
Why? Well, first, I'm not going to just assume that you know more about it than I do.
I would never propose to.
I would not. Why would you assume that I would not have an answer for your criticisms? That's what I came up for a debate for. So if you would level the 3 criticisms at me, if they're criticisms that I can't handle and that are so ground shaking that it would cause me to rethink things, then I would definitely rethink things. I have yet
Okay,
to
if I were to say, or somebody were to say, that Odinism is a joke, it's a fairy tale, whatever the case may be.
Who's Otis?
Odinism.
Who's Otis?
Odinism?
Whatever it is.
Okay, Odinism.
If you said it was a joke,
if it was it's a joke, it's a make believe fairy tale.
Sure.
You would,
and then that's okay. I don't need you. I'm not see the funny thing about Odinists, there's nothing in any of our books that say we have to proselytize. So I don't need you to convert in any way, shape, or form. That has
I did not know that. I thought it was I assumed. Which
you notice that there's no stories of the Odinists going around the world torturing people and turning them to Odin unless they turn to Odin. There's no, those stories don't exist because that's not in our thing. That's specifically an Abrahamic thing.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Ben. I had those 2 questions. Sarah, I yield, and I told you I wasn't going to yell.
Thank you, Spin.
You're welcome.
And Kraut, final person.
Yeah, I'll be honest, and don't kill me, Sarah. I was only able to tune in during the closing statements, but I'm going to rewatch the whole stream. I kind of forgot about it. It's been a long day at work. I don't really have any questions. What's up, Ben? What's up, Clay? Other than the fact that, like, I don't criticize other religions. I'm not sure if Ben was doing that or if he was being meta and posing an example of criticism and how Ben would react to that. But yeah, I try not to criticize other religions and say theirs is fake. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here on my high horse being a Christian, like, yeah, my one true God is real. So I can't prove that 100%. So I try not to criticize other religions. Other than that, I really don't have any questions right now.
Okay, well, I mean,
Could
this is the end, so now's
I-
the time to get a question in.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, Ben.
I wanted to respond to that
Oh, sure, go ahead.
because it is silly to say that you don't criticize other religions. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, Kraut, that you've criticized other people's religions sometime in your life.
I might criticize one religion for very specific reasons, but I'm not going to state the religion. I'm sure being a Christian yourself, you know what I'm talking about. But other than that, I don't criticize Jews. I don't criticize. Well, Ben is literally the first person who falls under the. I don't want to say it wrong, Ben. But his religion. He's the first person I ever met that subscribes to the Norse religion. But I wouldn't even criticize him for that. I don't criticize any religion except that one religion. And again, you know what I'm talking about, being a Christian man yourself.
I mean, not really. Like, because I would criticize anybody's religion, of course. I would absolutely criticize anybody's religion, 100%, because it's important to have the discussion. Because if we don't have the discussion, we're not going to come to a better understanding of it. Number one, first and foremost. But then the other person might also not have a good understanding of their own religion or belief system, and it's important for them.
Can you have a discussion with people of the opposite views without criticizing their views?
I mean, sure, you can find yourself in a vacuum or what they call a bubble. I would not suggest that. I would always criticize.
That would be agreeing with their view, but you can disagree without criticizing.
Yeah, you can agree, but disagreeing. Like if you publicly disagree, that's what the criticism is.
But I'll give you an example. I can say you're an idiot, but I'm not going to criticize you for it.
But that's not a religion, and that's just
I will
an insult. It's just an insult, and it doesn't have any bearing on somebody's worldview other than that they might actually be an idiot and not really know what they're talking about.
So real quick, because again, and Sarah, I'm going to rewatch it. Don't kill me. What's your one criticism of Ben's religion? Ben, do you even call it I don't want to call it a mythology because I feel like there's an indication of it.
There was never. Okay, so there's now an organized religion. That's the Asatru Folk Assembly. And then there's also an Asatru in Iceland. I do appreciate that that's happened because it's allowed the legitimacy in like government functions. So guys in the army can follow Odin, dudes in prison, things like that. But other than that, there's never been a structured, organized system in any way.
Okay. Now, Clay, obviously, I know the criticism of Christianity, so I'm not going to ask Ben his criticism of you. But what's your one criticism you have on his set?
My biggest criticism is the tie to the bloodline, but more specifically, because when you get into that understanding, and I could be completely wrong about this, but it looks like LARPing to me, because this particular bloodline has now been essentially, in my opinion, bred out to the point where nobody was practicing it anymore. Now, I know that Ben said, he wanted to actually get into that particular thing, and maybe we could, it was number 2 debate on this whole thing at some point in time. And maybe I could do a little bit more research on it, which would probably be helpful to that. But I would be expecting a literal bloodline lineage for that to be so. Otherwise, you are not part of that, because this is a specific religion or faith or whatever you want to call
that the entirety of Northern Europe practice. So anybody descended from Northern Europe carries that bloodline. And I hate to tell you, but I descend from Northern Europe entirely.
My bloodline is also basically entirely from Northern Europe, so I'm in the same boat as him.
But you're
me too. For all I know, my ancestors probably practiced the same thing that Ben believes in. I don't know that for a fact, but given
Nobody-
that I'm German,
nobody
Irish,
knows
Dutch,
that-
French.
Nobody.
Like when I went to Germany, people literally just think I'm a German and talk to me like I'm one of them because I look like all of them.
You look more Norwegian, but yeah.
My family's only been here for 3 fucking generations.
I mean, I look like a dude too, bro. Like, what do we do? You know,
we can't.
Yeah, Ben.
That Clay. What's that crowd?
I was going to say 3 and 4 generations. Like my mom's and my mom's is like 3 or 4, and my dad's is like 3 or 4. One of them overlap. Like one of them is 3, one of them is 4. I forget which one. So I'm literally like the 3rd and 4th generation in America.
That's same with me. Same with me.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's all I got, sir. Oh, Clay, you got something else?
Well, I was going to say ultimately, that along with and I know Ben's going to hate me for this, the land spirit thing, which essentially at the point where if you can't tell me specific rituals or appeasement of that, not your version of what would be appeasement, but that particular tribe's appeasement, then at that point in time, you're not telling me what their point appeasements are. You're telling me your version of it. That is not the same thing as I'm part of that tribe. Now I know everything that they need me to do to appease. That's not
What tribe am I trying to join, Clay?
the land spirits, not tribe.
That is not the fucking being an Odinist. You've been explained to that how many times? I don't fucking know. I'm not sure why you can't get it through your thick skull. The land spirits are a different level of being.
They're not attached to
responsibility on
all
the land.
The tribes moved to different lands, dude, and then moved back when conditions became better to move back. And they dealt with different land whites the whole time.
Yeah.
None of it's got any fucking thing.
You don't
to
know
do
which
with
ones are
Odin.
there. And
If you're a spiritual enough person, you can figure it out.
You can just figure out which land spirits are there. You don't need to know any ancestry. You don't
It's
need
got
to know who the
nothing to do
people
with
are.
Odinism.
They exist in a spiritual realm, and if
Bro,
we're
there-
doing
there are
meditation
literal
to
people that
contact
are
them,
claiming-
yes, we
Ben
literally
showed us a
can.
map. Ben showed us a literal map of
What's
the
that got to
different
do
tribes.
with Odin, dude?
Yeah, exactly. What's that? What's the land spirits got to do with Odinism?
Not a fucking thing.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't even have a valid complaint against us.
Yeah, exactly. You don't believe it. You don't believe it. And that's okay. You don't have to believe it. But that doesn't mean you're an Odinist. That means you're actually not an Odinist. That's just the way it works.
It's good that you're making up weird ass fucking rules, dude, that are just wildly crazy.
I know you don't trust Snorri.
You sound
He
as
said it.
unhinged as you could get. Even people that are listening that have never studied this in any way, shape, or form have picked up what's being laid down, and they're like, "You're a retard."
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the literature.
Tell me the fucking literature what says
you don't trust the literature.
You can't live in another place and be an Odinist.
Edda, History of the Kings.
Again, tell me the actual verse. Don't just say a book. This is what I told you you did before.
A verse?
You named 5 books.
A verse? Are we reading the Bible now?
Yeah, well, guess what, Chris? Guess what, Clay? People named Clay can't be fucking followers of Jesus Christ. Where does it say that?
Verses in the
in the Bible.
Uh-huh.
Like this is what you're doing. You're just fucking
Kings.
book
It's not.
names.
It's not Havamo. I didn't say Havamo. There's probably something in Havamo. There's probably something in Havamo, but I didn't say Havamo.
Either.
This is the thing. You got to listen in order to take the information in. You heard Havamo, but what I said was History of Kings. History of the Kings, Norway.
So what? Kings that you have to live.
So what?
Oh,
exactly. So what? You don't care what I said, and that's the point. You're just.
I want you to fucking list.
You're just making up
in the
shit.
fucking paragraph number.
You're just making up shit.
You have to live in a specific land to follow Odin. I want you to put that out there, not just say a fucking book, Clay. Quit being a goddamn child. You know how this works. If I was making an accusation about your Bible, you would expect a fucking verse and a fucking paragraph and all that.
Where's your
You
quote?
wouldn't just start saying books.
Oh, okay. Chapter 17, page 128, paragraph 1 and 2. There you go.
Of which book? Of which book? Of which book?
Chapter 17.
Verse what?
Chapter 17.
Page 128.
Page, what'd you say?
Page 128, 1 and 2. Paragraphs.
What book? Of what book, Clay?
History of the Kings of Norway.
Written by.
You understand the last word in that was Norway?
Oh, I didn't know Odinists didn't live in Norway.
They did. They also lived in every other fucking country in Northern Europe.
So they just all practiced whatever religion they wanted.
Yes, you dumbass. I've said
It's
that.
just making shit up, bro. It's just making shit up, bro. Just like whatever. Hey, guys, whatever you want to do. There's no actual hard fast law.
Clay, find me the religious rules.
No
They
rules.
don't fucking exist, you dumb fuck.
I gave you the citation. You just don't care. Hey, it's on you, not me. It's your religion, or you're not religion. You're LARP.
It's not a religion.
You're LARP.
You're the one. You're the dumbass LARPing because guess what? You're not a Hebrew and you fucking.
It's a LARP.
Says the dumbass fucking worshiping a desert god. He's king of the Jews.
Bro, I do have lineage all the way back to Noah. You understand?
Yeah,
that,
I'm sure
right?
you and every other fucking dipshit white guy.
Yeah, every person on the fucking planet. You don't realize that?
Fuck no, and every person.
I mean, I
on the
know it's an
planet. I
easy
don't
attack
defend
on
them.
Christianity. It's an easy
bastard.
attack on Christianity, but Christianity's not on the table here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I'll say what
you
the
know
fuck
what's called?
I
It's called
want.
obfuscation.
I'll say
It's
what
called
the fuck I want.
Yeah, you
Listen,
say whatever the fuck you want. No
dumbest
rules,
shit
right? You
in the
can
last
be,
fucking
no
hour.
rules. You don't have to have a hard, fast law to anything. Just whatever.
I know
you
that's
want.
what happens
Yeah.
when you actually
That's the
fucking
difference
have
between
trustworthy
and
So
people.
Clay,
a fake
Clay.
Odinist.
If everybody is descended from Noah, then what was wrong about the Israelites mixing with the Edomites? Because I thought that the problem.
Are we
with the
putting
Israelites
Christianity on the table, sir?
You're the one bringing up your descendants from
No,
Noah.
I didn't. No,
You
that was
literally
Ben,
did
sir.
bring up your
No, that
descendants
was
from
Ben.
Noah.
I didn't
That
know you
was
were descended
Ben.
from Noah.
Ben
You
has
definitely
brought
You're
up
literally the one who brought up
Christianity
the descendants
multiple
from Noah.
times in this debate, but this
Okay,
this
but
is,
you brought
bro,
up
you're
being
still
descended
trying
from
to
Noah.
bring Christianity into this.
You're the
He's
one who brought up Noah.
multiple times.
Neither
Ben
of us
has
brought up Noah until you
blamed
brought him up.
Christianity for all of his little problems throughout the world, and it's not the thing, bro. It's not the thing. You go
No,
to
I
your
don't blame
communal
you for my
council.
problems. I
You
just
go
think
to
you're
your
fucking
community, bro. Not me going to your
I just
community.
think
You
you're
go to your
pathetic and
community.
you're like, oh, I need my
Your
savior
community.
God because I'm not worth a shit.
You're the one who has the
Can't save
problem with your
myself.
community.
So I gotta
bro,
get
not
down
me,
and
not
suck
me.
Jesus' dick.
It's your community.
So that way he'll
Snorri's
I'm
your
on
brother.
King Jesus.
Snorri
He
is your
paid for
brother,
my
sir.
sins.
Snorri's your
He died for me. Oh,
Snorri wrote
he died
your
for me
books.
because you're fucking worthless. You can't
Snorri
fuck
wrote your
for
books. You
yourself.
have a problem with Snorri, okay? And I can
No,
understand
I
why. Who
don't.
the fuck would name themselves Snorri? I know he named himself too.
That is a fucked up name.
I love you. I love you.
All right.
I love you.
Objective Ethics sends in the big 20, says, be kind to my sister and send money. Great debate, Clay and Ben. Odin could definitely beat up Jesus. Should be the next prompt. Yeah, that would be fucking hilarious, actually. Stinky Paradox says, I worship Milo and Otis. Avery getting their new membership. And of course, Christy Creakle sends in the big happy poop jewels. I love those. And Ant sent in the big goat. We love the goat. Hail the goat. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and shut us down. I set up a raid over to, actually, it's his name's, I think it's Valhalla. The one that you sent me earlier, he's Ben. I think his name's Valhalla.
That was Christy.
Or yeah. But he's apparently roasting a certain someone over there. And so I figure I'll send you guys on.
It happened the day after that shit. Like everybody was on that.
But I'm going to raid everybody on over. Go say hello from Mater Nation. Send tomatoes. Tell him we love him. And tell him to keep on preaching. We love you. Thank you to both Clay and Mr. Balderson for this debate this evening. It was very nice. It was very cordial. And thank you to the panelists for joining to ask your questions. I'm sure that was insightful to both the panelists. Have a wonderful evening and good night.
This video was somewhat informative. That's all I got for today. Until next time, see ya.